Tonight we're going to make you smile from a place that's special to kids of all ages. We'll tell you stories of Silverhawks and Dragons. They'll be throwing and swinging. Whether you're a Dragon or a Hawk, we'll show you some love. Yeah, tell your mom about minor league baseball coming up next on the CBS Sports Network. Something special has been growing in downtown Dayton, Ohio at Fifth Third Field, home of the Dayton Dragons. An incredible sellout streak, and it'll be extended tonight when the Dragons play host to the South Bend Silverhawks. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dick Gabriel, along with former big league infielder Doug Flynn. The Dayton Dragons have drawn fans to their home field like no other team in all of professional sports.
Dick, this is really amazing. They're going for their 1,026 consecutive game, selling out, and there's some teams that don't do that in several seasons, and they've done it for years and years. What a beautiful place to play ball.
And it's going to be a good game tonight between two teams that are getting it done in the Midwest League. South Bend leading it by a game and a half over West Michigan. Dayton 6.5 back, but a good ball club.
Yeah, they are a very good ball club. They're starting to play a little bit better too. Lost some players this year that have been sent up like most minor league teams, but Jose Nieves says the boys are starting to understand a little bit better.
South Bend has played well all year long, thanks in large part to a guy with a big stick.
Daniel Pelko's just a monster. He's got 17 home runs, 68 RBIs. You can see he's about 6'2", 220. Really swings the bat. They're working on him to try to cut down his strikeouts, put the ball in play more.
At the top of that Dayton lineup, a real spark plug who's been a great surprise.
John Matthews came here, and he has been a surprise. He's one of those kids that came out of nowhere. Kind of a familiar story for me. He came out of nowhere, swinging the bat really well. They put him at the top of the lineup, and he's getting a lot more discipline, so he's a catalyst for this team.
Roving our field tonight on a beautiful night for baseball, down in a packed house, as usual, is Lauren Gardner. Lauren?
And gentlemen, it is a gorgeous evening. Now, Dick, you and Doug mentioned that sellout streak off the top, and you know what makes it more impressive is that Dayton is just about an hour up the road from Cincinnati, one of the oldest and most storied baseball franchises in all of sports. And you know what? This place has sold out every single game since 2000. In July of 2011, the Dayton Dragons broke the all-time sports record for consecutive sellouts with 815. And this isn't just minor league sellouts. This is all of sports. They now hold the record over the Boston Red Sox, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Boston Celtics, and even the Chicago Bulls. And guys, tonight is no exception. As you mentioned earlier, Doug, tonight is the 1,026 consecutive sellout here. Over 8,000 people expected.
Thanks, Lauren. It is an incredible story. We'll talk more about that tonight. And when we come back, starting lineups, Dragons and Silverhawks. It's the minor league baseball game of the week on the CBS Sports Network. Gorgeous night for baseball at Fifth Third Field in Dayton, Ohio. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner. Here's the way they're going to play tonight. South Bend goes to the plate this way. Andrew Velasquez leading things off, and he has been effective. But look for Daniel Pelka to shake things up a little bit. He leads the league in home runs, as Doug told you. And they're going to face, well, a guy is a basketball player and a pitcher, Amir Garrett, who started his college basketball career at St. John's before transferring to Cal State Northridge. And they're paying him a lot of money to throw baseballs, and he will do that tonight. He hasn't yet decided if he wants to pursue basketball or baseball as a career, but Dougie's off to a pretty good start at a pretty good place.
Yeah, he is, and if you can't play here, I mean, you're going to play in front of a full house, 8,500 every single night, which they've proven over the last several years. And you know, when you think of playing this close to the home club, that's got to be exciting too, because you know you're just down the road from the parent club of the Cincinnati Reds, and every night probably somebody from the front office is giving you a pretty good look.
And they're looking at Amir Garrett, 3-4 with that ERA of an even 4, but of late he has been extremely effective, and he's a guy who is obviously still learning how to pitch. And 6'5" with that big long strike coming at you, Coach. That's going to make things really tough, especially from the left side.
Well, it does, and one of the problems has certainly been his control. That's what they've been working on. He set out last year, but this year is trying to get control a little bit better, get some secondary pitches he can throw over the plate. He's got a breaking ball, a changeup, and, of course, the good fastball. Signed for a lot of money, as you said, 22nd round 3 years ago, but they think an awful lot of him.
His last 7 games, he's 3-0 with a 1.86 ERA. Coming into that stretch of games, the ERA was 5.74. So he's starting to figure things out here in Dayton, Ohio. Velasquez thought he had a free pass. So Garrett began his college career at St. John's in New York City. This young man, Andrew Velasquez, at the plate, is from the Bronx, just 5'8", 175, a switch hitter, 7th round draft pick out of Fordham Prep High School in New York by the Diamondbacks. Take a look at how the Dayton Dragons will play defense around the outfield. John Matthews, Phillip Ervin, Jonathan Reynoso in right field. Here you get a good look at the infield. Carlton Dahl, someone to keep an eye on at shortstop. Daniel Piggott, the former Florida Gator, at first base. Jose Ortiz behind the plate. Now he draws the walk. They want a ruling on the check swing. So man aboard for the South Bend Silverhawks.
Dick, how about this young man? That is the 69th consecutive game he has reached base. That is amazing. You wonder what your leadoff hitter can do to help your ball club. Certainly, he has gone over and beyond.
He gets on base in the next 2 games after this. He will own the Midwest League record, doing exactly what a leadoff man should do. So now Chuck Taylor steps up for the Silverhawks. Garrett working him away as he worked Vasquez. Taylor 5'9", 185, another switch hitter from Arlington, Texas. And he has had a lot of success against left-handed pitchers this year. Garrett falling behind again. Crowd is still pouring into this ballpark, Doug. The berm is filling up fast. The seats hold 7,200. They could fit another 1,500 or so into the grassy outfield areas. They do not sell standing room tickets here, but it is a hot ticket. Everybody at the hotel who saw us said, "You here for the game?" I mean, the game night is exciting in Dayton.
Boy, you're talking about an athlete. Here's a kid that played basketball in college for a pretty good basketball program and now has some decisions to make if he's going to go back to school and play some ball. Has some eligibility left.
Yep, 2 years.
But right now just working on his control. Got a good arm. Throws the ball in the low to mid 90s. But as we said, his biggest issue has been his control problem.
Runner goes. Not the best of throws by Ortiz. A good jump by Velasquez, who now is in scoring position with nobody out. Pitch was a ball, so a hitter's count coming up for Chuck Taylor.
It's a little unusual. Normally get a pretty good throw out of Ortiz. He and Tucker Barnhart, who's up in the big leagues right now, considered their 2 catching prospects.
And the man who's behind the plate at the big club just named to the All-Star team. And there's the back-to-back walks now issued by Amir Garrett. So struggling to get things started. Here in the top of the first inning, South Bend with 2 on, nobody out.
Man, it's like a who's who when you come to this ballpark of the kids that have come through here and played and now in the big leagues as we were walking through the hallway at this beautiful facility. Looking at the pictures, and if you look at the whole starting lineup for Cincinnati right now, they've all come, seems like just about all of them have come through here.
Well, we've talked a lot about the fact that minor league clubs are now being located much closer to the big club. Columbus, of course, feeding into Cleveland, Pawtucket for the longest time into Boston. You don't get much closer than Dayton and Cincinnati. Garrett finds the inner edge against Pelka and jumps out ahead. Pelka out of Georgia Tech from Lyman, South Carolina, leads the Midwest League in home runs. Another breaking pitch by Garrett. Pelka, a 3rd rounder last year out of Georgia Tech, first team All-American. Led the ACC in home runs, 17. That's how many he has right now.
Boy, just a good live arm this kid has. We look at the starting lineup for the Reds right now. Jay Bruce, Zach Cozart, Todd Frazier, Billy Hamilton, Devin Mesoraco, Joey Votto. All have come through here and now all up in the big leagues, as well as a few pitchers.
All rave about their time in Dayton.
Ooh.
That's a huge pitch right there. Lefty-lefty matchup, and down goes Pelka.
Down would go a lot of people on this. He's throwing the ball in the 90s and then comes back with a good slider. Hits the outside corner for a good pitch.
So a big out recorded by that young man. Still in a spot of trouble. Runners at first and second, 1 out now. But of course a double play would be his best buddy. Joe Munoz batting in the cleanup spot, designated hitter tonight for South Bend. First place team in its division in the Midwest out of Hacienda Heights, 6'3", 195. Second round pick in 2012 out of Los Altos High School in California. Vieira just missing away. He was so sharp against Pelka. That was impressive.
Yeah.
Got ahead of him.
Well, I think, you know, his biggest issue, as they said, has been getting that second pitch and then his control. And just a good live arm.
Go downstairs to Lauren Gardner here at Fifth Third Field. Lauren.
Well, guys, we spoke a little bit about Amir Garrett, the starting pitcher for the Dayton Dragons. And, you know, he's drafted by the Reds after not playing a whole lot of baseball, but they really like that frame at 6'5", 210, and it doesn't hurt that he's a lefty. And he struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season, but as of late, his last 7 starts, he's been 3-0, and his ERA is now at 1.86. And they said his breaking ball is really making the difference. That's really starting to develop. And as for his return to basketball, I joked with him a little bit before his warm-ups tonight, and I asked him if he was going to make that return to hoops. He laughed and he said, you know, let's see how this goes first.
That's a good answer from a guy being paid a lot of money to throw baseballs. But he has walked his 3rd man in 4 batters here in inning number 1. Well, you know, we were talking before the game with some of the folks here in Dayton about the fact that athletes who play basketball as well as another sport, they just absolutely love basketball, and they have a hard time saying goodbye to it. And of course, again, he is transferred to Cal State Northridge as he gets a mound visit.
Well, there's
Tony
several.
Fossas, he's the Dayton pitching coach.
And he's a good one, too. As a matter of fact, he had a lot of years in the big leagues and a lot of knowledge out there right now. Probably just trying to settle him down. Look, you know, playing on TV, too, there's got to be some nerves involved. The game was, as you say, started just a little bit. We were on time, but these guys were ready, and they're used to starting it at a certain time. And so they're all geared up, ready to go. They got their families watching all over the place. Take a good look at Jose Nieves.
Oh, yeah.
A good baseball man. I tell you what, the Reds have some outstanding coaches in the minor league system.
Played for the Cubs and the Angels, a shortstop for 5 years. Originally signed by the Brewers.
I watched the way he works in spring training with these young kids. And not only does he have a really good baseball mind, he can communicate what he wants done to these kids.
So now striker Trahan, Louisiana native, 6'1", 215, bases full with 1 out and a huge shift for the left-handed hitter. They play him straight away in left, well toward the gap in center, and to pull in right. So left center field, well over to center. Look at that shift. Wide open. And you can see the shortstop, Carlton Dahl, virtually up the middle. Now there's a reason these shifts happen, because they obviously know tendencies, but this isn't just studied off stats. These teams see each other a lot in the Midwest League. In the other division, they only play those other teams once.
You know, with social media, too, they can go find out
No
as much information as they want on these guys.
But the teams in their own divisions, they see them all the time. 3 balls now, 1 strike. No place to put him, of course, with bases full. Garrett struggling here, just underway. Glad to have you along with us in the minor league game of the week. Got that inside edge working and blew it right by him.
He's got an outstanding fastball. Just been able to locate. I like these uniforms. You mentioned too, you like those sleeveless uniforms.
I do. And a huge called strike 3. Second of the inning for Garrett. 2 down. Almost out of the jam. South Bend still with an opportunity here in the top of the first. And now Jamie Westbrook. Take another look.
Yeah. Doesn't move it too much. The pitch is it's close. When you got 2 strikes on you, it's close enough that you got to be hacking or trying to protect. But we saw the fastball that ran a little bit across the plate, and that's one of the things that's going to make him so effective if he starts getting any control at all, because he's got so much movement on his pitches.
Westbrook off the end of the bat, right at Bueno, and out of the inning, the Dayton Dragons, as South Bend leaves the bases juiced here in the top of the first. We'll take a break. Back with more minor league baseball game of the week. CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio at Fifth Third Field. No score as we go to the bottom of the first between the South Bend Silverhawks and the Dayton Dragons. And this is the way Dayton will come to the plate, with John Matthews leading things off. Just a real spark plug, a catalyst for this team. Knows how to get on base, knows how to score runs. Phillip Ervin, a former first-round draft pick, in the middle of the lineup as well. They're going to be facing another big right-hander. That's Blaine Weller for South Bend. 4-4 on the year, a 4.52 run average. And it looked like his team was going to spot him to an early lead. But it is still a scoreless tie as Dayton comes to the plate for the first time. There you get a look at his numbers, with only 27 walks and 79 strikeouts in 73 2/3.
Dick, this is a good story. He had 22 appearances in independent ball in 2012 and 2013 when he was released by the Twins. The Diamondbacks signed him in 2013. He actually got as high as AAA ball. Only player really on the South Bend team that has got that high. So here's a kid that, 24, got a little more experience than some of the other ones, and trying to find his form back that will get him on up the ladder.
Well, he's 6'5", 252 out of Santa Ynez, California. Doug mentioned he came through independent league ball, and it can't happen for you that way. We've seen it happen with a lot of the young men we've watched here on our minor league game of the week each week. And here's a young man who played in Missoula last year as a non-drafted free agent. So he's moved up another step to an outstanding franchise in South Bend. John Matthews steps in. Matthews did not make this team at the beginning of the season. Began the year in extended spring training.
Boy, and all he's done now is just step up to the plate.
Well, he broke his bat on that one. Has a chance to beat this one out, but a nice running play by Andrew Vasquez, or Velasquez, I should say. There's one out.
Hitting 342 before that at bat, but somebody got in his kitchen that time. He's going to have to get some new lumber next time up.
Good pitch to begin with by Weller. So now Carlton Dahl, the shortstop. One pitch, one out. Dahl 6'2", 160, non-drafted free agent signed by the Reds 2 years ago. Has been above 300 in each month this season.
Yeah, this is his first season that he's really played full Class A baseball. He played 21 games last year at the rookie level, but they say he's one of the most intriguing shortstop prospects in this system, mainly because, his height, 6'2", that's big for a shortstop, but he has good speed and great quickness.
Got a good short, compact stroke, you can see.
Oh, yeah. He has 36 errors, though, in 77 ball games, but that's not uncommon at this level. I think yours truly one year had 30-something at AAA ball.
Oh, that can't be.
I know. Well, that was a shortstop. They finally realized I couldn't play there.
Yeah, your gold glove was at second base, wasn't it?
It was. But you know what they'll do is a lot of, when you're at this level, you think you can make every play.
Yeah.
And so you finally learn to mature when to just take the baseball and eat it and when not to be making wild, crazy throws.
Jamie Westbrook. And there are 2 outs. Take a look at the way South Bend's playing defense tonight around the outfield. Chuck Taylor in left. Almodovar in center field. Trahan is in right. Around the horn, Gebhardt, Velasquez, Westbrook, Daniel Pelka, Michael Perez behind the plate. Just underway here in Dayton, Ohio, 57 miles from Cincinnati, from the big club. And another sellout crowd. Just an incredible story in all of minor league baseball. This might be the most valuable franchise in minor league ball.
No doubt about it. You had a chance to watch this young man play a little bit.
That is true. Daniel Piggott out of the University of Florida. Part of that outstanding Gator program.
Mark Haney.
Yep.
Haley. Mark Haley's a good guy, and he says, I told him I was going fishing tomorrow night, and he loves to fish, but he's a fly fisherman. So I said, what will you be doing tomorrow night? He said, I will be in Fort Wayne playing a baseball game. I said, I will be on the lake, and he almost knocked me down. Great story. Great story. From Nebraska, coached at Tennessee. And then a couple of Tennessee coaches. As we see a ball on the outside, felt like they wanted to move on to pro baseball. They took him with him. He said, what a blessing it has been. 10 years now with one franchise. Married a young lady from South Bend, decided just to stay there.
He is a huge reason why South Bend has been so successful as a franchise. As Piggott battles down on the count 1-2, 6'2", 205 from Ormond Beach, Florida.
Good cut.
That one just over our head, bouncing back down. Souvenir for somebody, but not Doug Flynn.
You know, I keep wanting to bring my glove, but tonight I closed the window so I wouldn't have to make a play.
Now Mark Haley's from Torrance, California, but now settles in South Bend. Into the gap and into the sun. Strahan makes the grab for out number 3. So 1 in the books here in Dayton, and we are scoreless. Silverhawks and Dragons. More to come with the minor league baseball game of the week. CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio, no score between South Bend and the Dayton Dragons. We're enjoying here in the booth by Dick Nussbaum, who is the vice president of the Midwest League. And first of all, thank you for coming in, and congratulations. What a jewel you guys have here in the Dayton Dragons.
Yeah, this is, we're so pleased to be able to show this off to the country because Dayton's a great story. And the great thing about our league is there's a lot of other stadiums just like this and support that our clubs have for our teams across the Midwest.
And you are a Notre Dame alum, and
sure
you know South Bend well. That's a strong franchise.
Yeah, South Bend has a great story as well, coming in 1988 and really building one of the first modern stadiums in the history of what we now see as minor league baseball. And I look around the stadium here and you see the berm seating and some of the other features that all started in South Bend. And a lot of these architects have gone around and improved upon that. And there's just great facilities. I know they were just like this when you played, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the game has changed, but you are a ball player and you've had a very interesting career, but your love has always been the game of baseball.
When I grow up, I want to be a baseball player. It's
Don't we all?
Yeah. And I got to play 4 years at Notre Dame, and it was a great experience. And
your son played 4 years at Notre Dame?
Played as well, and was a captain of the team, and is now working in the Major League Baseball Players Association. And so I'm in the minor leagues, and he's in the major leagues.
The fact that you know the game as a player, and then you of course, go on to a great career, and you're an attorney, and now you're the vice president of the league. How has that helped you as someone who works with the league?
I just think, you know, we're in the business of player development here. You know, we're in a business, and the owners are out to put out a good product. But at the end of the day, we've got to make sure that these players have a have a great experience, and so many of our players from this league have made it to the big leagues, and I think, you know, they're playing in front of 9,000 fans tonight, and you know, that helps to prepare them to play in front of 50,000 fans.
Ryan Gebhardt leading things off for South Bend.
What are some of the things, I know next year you're the president-elect coming in. When we go to the ballparks, there doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that you can improve upon. What will be some of the things you may be trying to do?
Well, I'm taking over for a guy that George Spelius has been president for 28 years, and when he came into the league, you know, people were trying to give away minor league franchises, and now they're just really valuable. So I got to tell you something. My first priority is not to screw it up. You know, he's done a great job and he's taught me a lot. And you know, we've got great owners in our league, and I'm going to listen a lot, and we'll try to make it better.
Here's a simple question for you as they retire Gebhardt. Why the boom in minor league baseball? Doug and I have been privileged to see it all over the country at all levels, but can you put your finger on anything?
Well, oddly enough, I think it all started with Bull Durham.
I agree.
And actually, the major leagues decided that the minor league ballparks and the conditions that the players played in, and Doug, I'm sure, wished it was that way when he was playing, there are strict standards that you got to meet. And all of a sudden, cities like Dayton and South Bend and Lansing and Fort Wayne, they all built beautiful stadiums. And there's a strong relationship between the minor leagues and the major leagues. There's, you know, good affiliated agreements, player development contracts. And you put all that together, some really good business people. And it's affordable. It's a family-friendly atmosphere.
To back it up, I had Gebhardt batting before. That was Perez who went down. Now it's Gebhardt as we talk to Dick Nussbaum, the vice president of the Midwest League.
It's almost like you say, if you build it, they will come. But the improvements to me as a former player, as I go around, I see the locker rooms are better. They have spreads in the clubhouse where they're eating better. Those are still important aspects of this game that I think we sort of overlooked years ago, but now these kids, they got it pretty good.
They do. It's, you know, when you looked at the movie Bull Durham, it didn't look so good. But, they really do. And people are very conscious about the nutritional things that have to go on and being able to train and take care of your bodies. And as a result, we're seeing some really great baseball. We got a guy here hitting 17 home runs.
How about
already.
that?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you something. Can you make it too good where that apple at the end or that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is already here and they don't feel like they have to strive too hard to get there?
Doug, there's a lot of competition, and they're not making a whole heck of a lot of money at this level.
True.
And you're giving great exposure. The guy just struck out and they got him out there. But you're giving great exposure to these kids, but they don't normally get that. It's kind of local, and we all, you know, all of us want to be playing in the 7th game of the World Series.
Amen.
And I think that's what these young men are trying to do.
Nasty pitch for strike 3 against Gebhardt, and now Breland Almodovar. And I've got to wonder, with all due respect, was that last pitch that was strike 3, was that the pitch that sent you to law school? I mean, that's the tough. If you can either lay off it or hit it, you're going to move a long way.
I was a pretty good breaking ball hitter, but this guy right here would have got me with high heat.
I got you.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot of people with high heat before he's done, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a nice live arm. That is the one that put me in slow pitch softball, though, finally.
Yeah, but you snuck 11 years past him in the majors. So
you got to be able to trick him at some point in time.
What do you think of this big pitcher?
Well, he's fabulous. I mean, he looked awful there at the beginning. Couldn't get the ball over the plate, and I don't know what their pitching coach said, but it worked.
Gold.
Yeah.
It was gold.
I just said to Gary Mays in the booth up there, I said, what's he going to tell him? I mean,
yeah.
throw the ball
over the plate. That's what we used to tell him. People wonder what goes on. Usually it's very simple.
Gary, the fine general manager here in Dayton. I know you're high on him, aren't you?
Gary's the best. I mean, he really is. And we've got a lot of great managers, general managers in our league. And that's what it takes too. You know, it's a big responsibility to open a stadium up for 10,000 people and make sure they have a good time.
But you can tell the pride they take in it here in Dayton. Not just the streak ripped for a foul ball by Almodovar, but that's key, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's bringing a family here. It's affordable and not worrying about what your kids are going to do. And look at that out there in the berm, and
he'll be playing with that ball in the street tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, I think the big leagues could take a good message from the minor leagues, and you've made it fan friendly. It's fan affordable, and people can come here and have a wonderful time and go home and not feel like that they've been ripped off.
That's right. And, you know, there's a lot of really great baseball fans that come to these games, but somebody said, and I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a high percentage. The people that come to the games don't even know what the score is when they leave. You know?
They just know they've.
Hey, I know some players like that.
Not on the Reds. Not on the Reds, Doug, when you played.
No, when you're on a winning team, you pretty much got a good handle of what's going on.
Ortiz with a play, and that'll do it for the inning. Mr. Nussbaum, thank you so much.
Thanks, sir. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the work in the
Dick, thank you, buddy.
Right,
good
Doug,
to see you.
luck.
Thank you.
Go Wildcats, huh?
There you go.
Nothing across, and we'll go to the bottom of the second. No score here in Dayton. Minor League Baseball Game of the Week on the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio, South Bend and the Dragons, no score. We've got to follow up on that conversation with Dick Nussbaum. He said go Wildcats at the end, and here's why. He knows Doug and I live in Lexington, Kentucky, but he is an old friend of John Calipari, the Kentucky coach. Dick Nussbaum grew up in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. He's the only other person I know from John Calipari I've ever met from John Calipari's hometown, but he is impressed with those Dragons. Again, we've talked so much about the nicknames in minor league baseball, and this has become synonymous, of course, with sellouts, but you got the Dragons and the Silverhawks tonight. You got to love that.
Yeah, you do. It's it's really good. And just to clarify something, too, it wasn't you and I that brought up that topic of Wildcats.
No, that's correct.
For a friend of ours who happens to be listening.
Oftentimes accused of talking way too much about the hometown team, but I'm glad you clarified that. That's a good pickup. Good looking out right there.
Thank you.
Good for you.
You're welcome.
Take an assist on that. Phillip Ervin will lead things off here in the home half of the second inning for the Dragons. They went in order back in the first, and Ervin, another guy who has got prospect tattooed all over him. Former #1 round draft pick. From Leroy, Alabama, played his college baseball at Samford, and an injury in his high school career that really limited his options playing either professionally or collegiately. It wound up being the 27th overall pick in 2013.
Boy, only one player in the whole organization that they feel a lot stronger about, and that would be Robert Stevenson, who in this very ballpark hit 99 on the gun one night. Great pitcher with a lot of speed, just working on some off-speed pitches.
You got to think the big year that Ervin had in the Cape Cod League in 2012 helped prepare him for a pro career. That's a wood bat league, and great competition up there on the Cape, and he was the MVP.
Yeah, considered probably the best summer league for kids that are coming out of college or high school, mostly college.
Go back downstairs to Lauren Gardner. Lauren.
Guys, as he takes the walk, I did speak with Ervin before tonight's game about the disappointing start to the year that he's had. You know, he said, I'm having a little bit of trouble laying off of that breaking ball. My discipline at the plate is what I'm really focusing on, as well as my pitch selection. And when I asked him what he was looking at for out of Weller tonight in terms of pitches, he got this great big smile on his face, and he said, fastball down the middle. And I think he's hoping for a similar pitch that he tattooed the other night off of that McDonald's sign off the scoreboard.
They talk about that. They talked about that during BP. Thanks, Lauren. Everybody who told us that story did it just with this awe in their voice, this wonderment. You know? They were pointing at the golden arches. Not many people can do that.
Well, he definitely has good power, and a center fielder right now. And that's probably the position they like to see him play. But when you look up ahead of him, Cincinnati's got a pretty good little center fielder right now that's done a pretty darn good job.
And came through here. You mentioned him earlier. There's a McDonald's sign. Imagine hitting a baseball off that. That's just phenomenal. Billy Hamilton, who tweaked a hammy last night, but not before he tripled in a win over the Cubs. Jose Ortiz, the leadoff man at first.
Well, you start looking at all these kids and some of the tools that they have, the natural ability. This one is strictly power. They love his bat. And as we said earlier in the game, other than Tucker Barnhart, considered the next best catcher in the system.
Drafted in the 17th round 2 years ago out of high school in Puerto Rico. 5'11", 205. Tough to find one catcher you're high on. The Reds right now blessed with a wealth of talent at that position.
Yeah, Devin Mesoraco has really surprised a lot of guys with his consistency with the bat. They knew he had some pop, but now with 15 home runs and over 40 RBIs and all-star selection.
Runner goes. They try hit and run. But a stolen base for Phillip Ervin as Ortiz protects him. Runner in scoring position out for the first time for the Dragons, and there's one out. First strikeout for Willard.
Boy, this is just a good job and almost a double play. You see the runner look back. He's safe. Anytime that ball bounces, you've got to take your glove to the ground and then bring it up. And it makes it hard to bring it back up and put the tag on that runner. So 2 throws we've seen go down into the dirt, and both times runners have been safe at second.
Just a little bit tougher on that catcher with the batter swinging. But now Dayton threatening for the first time this evening. As Rashal Avin, from Cypress, Texas, 5'11", 191. Played in Billings last year. Drafted in the 22nd round in 2012. Ervin giving Blaine Weller just a little something to think about. Outfielders still battling the sun here in Dayton. Just a perfect night for baseball. Unseasonably pleasant here in Ohio, which is ordinarily in July hotter, more humid. Goes the other way with it. Trahan brings it in. And there are 2 outs.
Pretty good arm right there.
Not too bad. And now Sean Fernie will try to keep the inning alive. Beg your pardon, Jonathan Reynoso.
Just made his season debut for Dayton here on June the 19th. Played in the Dominican Summer League. Youngster. He's 21 years of age now. Had some minor knee surgery to repair some cartilage, which kind of limited his play last year. Got to play in Billings in a short season. People often wonder, what's a short season, what's a long season? A normal season is 142 ball games, and then there are seasons that are shorter that a lot of these kids will go to.
Right out of high school or college.
Exactly.
Reynoso 6'3", 177. They'd love to put a little more muscle on him. From Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Tweaked a knee earlier this year, missed the last 4, rather last year, missed the last 4 weeks of 2013. So they were curious when he began the year, but he started healthy.
You know, when you read the bios on a lot of these players, one of the things they say is needs plate discipline. Well, that only comes with experience.
That's going to score a run for Dayton on the throwing error by Velasquez, and the home team takes a 1-0 lead. Difficult play by Velasquez, but right up until the time, Doug, that he released it, it looked like he was about to make a really nice running throw.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had a good grip on the ball. It looked like the way that he threw it, he may have had a palm ball grip and didn't have a real steady grip too across the 4 seams. We see him come in, does a good job grabbing it. Right there, the ball just flies and gets away from him, and I'm not sure they're going to get the runner anyway. That may go down as a base hit and an error. We'll check.
So far, no base hit awarded. The error obvious because Reynoso winds up at second. And a 1-0 lead for the Dragons. And now Gabriel Rosa. Good off-speed pitch he takes for a strike. It looked like Weller might have been out of the inning. Misses inside. Rosa, another tall, lanky player, 6'4", 185. Drafted out of high school, Puerto Rico.
As an infielder, as a matter of fact. Now they've transitioned him to the outfield. And this will be his first pro season where he didn't play the infield. So he's a full-time outfielder as far as they're concerned right now.
Tonight he is a DH, but as you say, he's been nothing but an outfielder this year. They like the potential they see in him. Runner in scoring position, 2 down, a run in. And that'll do it. But on the error, the Dragons scratching after 2 innings. Dayton 1, South Bend nothing. We're back with more of the minor league baseball game of the week on the CBS Sports Network. The Village people are enjoying a 1-0 lead. Dayton has over the South Bend Silverhawks. Tomorrow's conversations start tonight. Get the latest word in sports on Leadoff tonight at midnight Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner, and our entire minor league baseball game of the week crew here in a wonderful setting for minor league ball. Another sellout crowd here at Fifth Third Field in Dayton, Ohio, home of the Dragons. And they have staked Amir Garrett to a 1-0 lead over the South Bend Silverhawks. Fans of all ages enjoying a great night for baseball here just north of Cincinnati in the Ohio River. Ballpark built in 2000. Every game a sellout since. South Bend was awarded a Midwest League franchise in 1988. And it's been successful ever since. First affiliated with the White Sox and called the South Bend White Sox until '94. They became the Silverhawks as a tribute to the once popular Studebaker Silverhawk automobile, which was, of course, manufactured in South Bend.
Really?
So see, when you go home tonight, you're confident you've learned something.
That will be
you're
my one
me
little
baseball.
jewel that I have taken away
That's
from
right.
you this evening.
You're teaching me baseball, and I'm learning you about nicknames. I just love the backstory on these nicknames. And most of them come from contests, which is great.
Yeah, I like that too. We've seen some dandies this year.
Top of the order up for South Bend. Andrew Velasquez got all the way to third base his last time up, leading off the game with a walk, still second. In fact, Garrett walked, the sack's full, but worked out of the jam. South Bend had bases loaded with 1 out. Garrett gets a strikeout, then a ground ball. I got to think, as Dick Nussbaum pointed out, after the mound visit, he looked like a different pitcher. So clearly a big part of his problem was just maybe too much adrenaline, maybe nerves.
I'd say probably most of it, and a good move by Tony Fossis to go out and have a little talk with him, settle him down. Very experienced pitching coach, very experienced pitcher.
So Velasquez already has his streak intact. On base 69 consecutive games. I mean, the hitting streak is one thing, getting on base, pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, it shows you got to go. There's a good picture of pitching coach
John Matthews.
Tony's he's a dandy, and you watch the way he has fun with the game too. He and the whole coaching staff, they have a good time. They got a great relationship. Been with these kids ever since February, so maybe even January.
This is bending away from Reynoso. He's not going to get it. Extra bases, maybe 3 for Velasquez. Never slows down, and he's into third base with a leadoff triple here in the 3rd inning. Reynoso not only had to cover some ground, but battling the sun, and Velasquez way too much speed.
I think you're right, Dick. One of the problems is going after the ball. He had to fight the sun. This ball's cutting away from him the whole time. you get an idea that this is a tough sun field.
Not a bad jump on the ball.
No, just hit in the right place, kept tailing away, and well, we saw just a good look at some of the speed that Velasquez has.
And you also got a good look at this field where down the line it's 320, but almost immediately the wall is recessed another 18 feet. And so Reynoso had a lot of ground to cover and had to deal with that extra room down there in the right field corner. So Velasquez away to his lead at third, and this is going to tie the game. Bueno makes the play, an RBI ground out for Chuck Taylor, and it's a 1-1 ball game.
Just good fundamental baseball.
Yep.
Put it in play. If the infield's playing back, all you got to do is get the ball in play, keep it off the corners, and you're going to get a run in.
So now bases clear, 1 out, 1 in for Daniel Pelka, caught looking his last time up. Garrett took full advantage of the lefty-lefty matchup and was really sharp against Pelka as he caught him looking. And he did that with 2 on and nobody out back in the first inning. Pelka with that open stance toward first base. Didn't get cheated there.
Nope. How about Velasquez? Triple number 13 for him this year.
Unbelievable. Well, you saw the speed as he rounded second, so if he has any opportunity to make that turn. So the big grin there by Taylor. A walk and an RBI ground ball. This one to Bueno again. 2 out. So 2 at-bats, Garrett versus Pelka. And the big left-hander has gotten the better of the league leader in home runs in the Midwest League.
You can see where Garrett would be awfully tough on left-handers with kind of a 3/4 delivery, and then if he's getting his breaking ball over it all, it's going to be very nasty.
So now Joe Munoz drew a walk his last time up. Mentioned that he was from Los Altos High School out in California, Hacienda Heights. Tries to jump on Garrett on that first pitch. All-Stater is a senior. Second-round draft pick out of high school by the D-backs. Going into last year, ranked 14th among D-back prospects. Struggled a bit last season. Anybody's going to struggle against that pitch.
Well, that's true. Having a good year here, though. Hitting 306 coming into tonight's game. Only been here for 35 games and just 134 bats going into tonight, but already with 5 home runs.
Garrett can't get it. Bueno does.
Pretty.
Nice pick by Daniel Piggott at first base. So the inning ends for Dayton with a defensive gem, but it results in a run for South Bend, and we'll go to the bottom of the third, all tied up again. It's 1 apiece here at Fifth Third Field in the minor league baseball game of the week, the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio, where the South Bend Silverhawks have locked things up with the Dayton Dragons. 1-1. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner. Another knockout performance by the fans here in Dayton, Ohio. A place that was hit pretty hard when the economy took a tumble 6 or 7 years ago. But the streak has remained intact. One of the great reasons, too, here is the fact that they really promote the sale of partial season ticket packages. They're really cognizant of the fact that a lot of times people will buy season tickets. They can't make it, of course, to every game, can't give away all their tickets. And at the end of the year, as they say, they've got a drawer full of unused tickets. So they encourage folks, just go ahead and try a partial package. You know, if you like it, you can expand it next year. But come on out to the ballpark and put a group like that together, and you'll have a lot of fun.
I tell you, if I was starting a minor league franchise or had one that wasn't doing very good, I would be up here talking to
Take
the folks.
They told us as a result of that movement with a season ticket package, the partials, they have a season ticket holder list of more than 6,000 in a ballpark that seats 7,200.
Well, I tell you, it is beautiful. I mean, the setting, the field, the way you get treated.
Ronaldo Bueno for the first time tonight at the plate, and that's a comebacker to Weller. 1 out. Dragons scored an unearned run back in the second inning. Otherwise, that young man on the hill has been very effective. Now the top of the order, John Matthews bounced to short. Lead off the bottom of the first inning. But, you know, you go back and look at that second inning, and as sharp as Weller has been, he did walk the leadoff man. And you and I have talked for all the years we've done games together how that just always seems to come back and hurt you 2 or 3 times out of 4.
My goodness, I'm nervous now. A superstar walked into the booth.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But I've been sitting here for quite a while.
No, I'm not talking about you.
Oh.
I'm talking about.
It would be that young man in the red uniform.
It would be that man.
Okay, well, in our next half inning,
The glue.
we're going to hear from a real live former big league star.
And I mean a star, too.
Absolutely. One of my all-time favorite players. That would be Eric Davis. Chat with him coming up very shortly.
Eric gets a chance to work with a lot of these kids. Saw him out there today while they were taking batting practice and walking them through some stuff, helping them just get their fundamentals in order, which he does at spring training and does, matter of fact, with all the ball clubs.
I was eavesdropping.
Were you?
Oh, absolutely.
My question, what could he have done with my swing?
I'm going to ask him that very quickly.
No, don't do it, please. Don't. Because he will have an answer. Don't do that.
That's exactly what I'm going to ask him.
It's like
I guarantee he could help.
It's like
Could
Mark.
help.
Well, I'm sure he could. It's like Mark Belanger said. There's 2 parts to this game. I'm just glad I got to contribute to one of them.
That's right, and that's defense. Weller just missing, and now he goes full with John Matthews. And we've talked before about how Matthews did not start with this ball club after extended spring, but when he first came up, he came to High A Bakersfield to replace a player who had been injured. Weller with an outstanding fastball. He blows by him on the outside corner.
You know what we're seeing from this kid pitching tonight? He's a little bit older than some of these youngsters. A pretty young ball club here at Dayton. Most 20, 21, 22 years of age, and then you have a kid that's 24 that's already thrown some in AAA.
Yep.
And so if he's been up there, a little bit more experience, knows how to pitch a little bit, and right now has pretty good command.
Carlton Dahl into right field. Trahan battles the sun but makes the squeeze for out number 3. And we're going to show you exactly who we're going to be talking to as we come back. The one and only Eric Davis will join us here in the booth when we come back. It's 1-1 here in Dayton. Minor league game of the week on the CBS Sports Network.
See everything. Yeah.
Dayton and South Bend locked up at 1 apiece here in the top of the 4th inning. Dick Gabriel, Lauren Gardner, Doug Flynn, and joining us here in the booth is 18-year Major League veteran Eric Davis, 3 times an All-Star. I've not had the pleasure. Welcome to Minor League Baseball Game of the Week.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is exciting.
You got to right off. You help these young players. You've got to answer the question: what might you have done to Mr. Flynn's stroke that could have gotten him a few more points on that batting average?
Well, I'd have told him not to choke up as much and trust his eyesight.
You know, some guys are just gifted. This is one of the most gifted athletes to ever play the game of baseball. Yeah. Center field, of course, a member of the 1990 World Championship team. And what I found out over the last several years is I get a chance to go to spring training. It's a class act right here. And we've become good friends. Matter of fact, got to tour around. Remember the Rockstar Tour?
The Rockstar Tour. That was outstanding, wasn't it?
It was outstanding. Just hanging with you for a while was good. But tell me, all that stuff that you know about the game of ball and you're hitting, when you go to translate that over to these kids, do they respect your opinion when they listen to you?
They respect it once they Google you. That's where the game is going now. If they can't Google you, it's kind of hard.
Well,
That's
when they
true.
find out 18 years, they know you know what you're
And
talking
then they
about.
see your credentials, and then they'll open up to you and stuff. And the hardest thing with these kids today is trust. And so if they don't trust you or trust some of the things that you've done, it's kind of hard for them to kind of lean your way. You know, when you talk about travel ball and they play in these tournaments in high school and so forth, and all the accolades that they get, they kind of think that they have it, and then they come here and they get a piece of that humble pie, and things not as easy as they think it is and stuff. So you have to break down those walls a lot of times. But once you break down that wall, they're very receptive.
Very few guys never struggle. I mean, at some point in time, you have to struggle before you can actually get it right and make sense to you.
Well, if you don't struggle, you're not human. And I think Ted Williams was the last guy to hit 400, so we all going to fall into that category in some capacity. But the sooner you can struggle in professional baseball, the better chance you have of learning how to climb back up that ladder in order to trust the things that you have the ability to do.
Striker Trahan at the plate for South Bend. He hammers one to center field. Irvin going back. Just enough real estate to keep it in the yard for Dayton, and there's one out. Beg your pardon, that was Westbrook in center field. Now, Mr. Flynn's wearing his World Series ring. I've got to ask you, what did it mean to you to, there's Irvin, as I mentioned, and Garrett really appreciated the effort in center field.
As he should.
Absolutely. A center fielder running one down. You know what that's like. Now, what did it mean to you to put everything together the way that team did, the Reds team in 1990, and not only win the World Series, but you beat a really good Oakland team, but swept them? I mean, nobody saw that coming, but you guys absolutely put it all together at the perfect time. What's it like being a part of that?
Well, in the moment, you really don't really look at it from that capacity because you're going out there grinding every day. What I do remember is that we had a lockout that year. And we didn't play but 12 or 13 games in camp. And then we got a new manager, which was Lou.
Yep.
So we had to jump into the fire early. I think the first game, I think our starters played 7 innings because we didn't really have enough time to fiddle around. We had our bullpen set. We went with guys that we thought was going to make the club. And we got those 25 guys ready. And once we came out of the gate, I think we won our first 9 games in a row and did something even the Big Red Machine never did.
Easy now.
Do tell.
Easy now. Easy.
We went wire to wire.
You did indeed.
That means we didn't have to catch nobody.
That's very true.
Is that right, Super Glue?
Yeah, that's right, Glue.
We're talking with Eric Davis here in the booth at Fifth Third Field. What do you think of the streak here, the sellouts, and you're a part of this?
That's phenomenal. I've been coming here for years, and to see the things that they do here, it's phenomenal. And I think the stature that Dayton has set is starting to transcend around a lot of other minor league facilities, and people are starting to do some of the things that they're doing because you see how great minor league baseball is starting to catch fire with attendances in new ballparks. We're
going to talk more with Eric Davis, former Cincinnati Red, and now a guy sharing the knowledge with the youngsters here in Dayton. We're tied at 1. Back with more of the minor league baseball game of the week on the CBS Sports Network.
Are you filming?
Back in Dayton, Ohio. We're going to chat a little bit more with Eric Davis in just a minute. But first, let's go back downstairs to Lauren Gardner. Lauren.
Well, Dick, the Dragons have 3 first-rounders here in Dayton. I'm standing by starter Nick Travia. So, Nick, what does it mean to you to know that there are 3 first-rounders at this level already, and that a handful of guys who played on this very field are just down the road playing in Cincinnati right now?
I think it's a great feeling, just knowing that they were in our shoes one day, knowing that there's so many of them up there already. I think it's, it's great for us to look up to them, and it's a good feeling knowing that they're up there and they weren't here too long. So you know, I feel like we have a good chance of climbing the ladder to be where they are one day.
This level is really for making adjustments and learning. What's been the hardest part about adjusting right now?
I think the hardest thing is just coming out every 5 days with a positive attitude, whether you throw well or don't throw good at all. You know, just come out every 5 days with a you know, open mind and just go out there and throw the ball like, you know, like nothing happened the last start.
Thank you very much, Nick. Appreciate the time and good luck.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, he made a good point. It's good to have amnesia in this game sometime, isn't it?
Sometimes, but sometimes you want to remember what happened.
That's how you learn, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if you can't, if you're a closer, yeah, you want to have, you know, amnesia because you got to bounce back right after that night. But if you're an everyday player, sometimes you have to feed off that last night. And, you know, if you didn't have a good night, that can motivate you to come out. And that's the great thing about baseball is we play so many games, and you don't have to wait till that next Sunday or 4 days later like basketball, and you can get right at it. So sometimes you really want to remember what just transpired.
Daniel Piggott leading things off here for Dayton in the home half of the 4th inning. We're talking with Eric Davis, the longtime big league center fielder and now a coach here in the Reds chain. And what's it mean to you to be a coach in the chain for the team that really helped you get started, and you had some of your great years and you won your World Series with the Reds, and now you're giving back?
Well, it's good. And growing up in this organization, I was part of this organization for 14 years, and having an opportunity to come back once the Castellini bought the franchise and saw some of the great things that they've done in turning this franchise around, because we were kind of in the doldrums for a little bit of time. But what they've done is they've brought a lot of us back and put us in situations to try to take advantage of our knowledge and our expertise. And I really love to teach, so. And, you know, when they asked me to do it, I was like, okay, and here I am.
And he does it in spring training. He does it during the season. And he's right about the Castellini family. They've included, whether you're a superstar or guys like myself, to come back and be a part of the team in some capacity. And I think that's it's one of the things I've appreciated about them. But I love how they have not just taken these guys. They've taken
you guys.
You know, we had a name for ourselves back in those days. And he knows. And so it's good that we're part of it too. So
I've got to ask you too, Lauren just talked to one of the first-round picks, 3 on this roster for Dayton. Have you had a chance to watch these guys much? What kind of future do they have?
Well, it's totally up to them.
There's one of them, Philip Irvin.
It's totally up to them. I've watched Philip. I've watched Travis. So I've pretty much seen all the draft picks that we have so far. It's up to them. It's about how diligently do they want to learn, how seriously they take their craft, how dedicated they are to what they're trying to accomplish, and understanding that it's a grind. And it's not so much just the first-round picks, because you have a lot of situations where that 19th round pick and that 18th round pick and that 26th round pick is just as talented, but only certain people can be first-round picks. So I try not to waver whether it's a first-round pick or a 21st round pick. I just look at the players and try to get them to be as competitive as they can.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about the grind, and through our travels, you know, Doug and I have heard that word so much in the minors, and you're absolutely right. But I've got to think that a lot of people out there watching are maybe saying to themselves, well, if I were in their shoes, I would work my tail off every day. But it is a long season. It is a grind, and it's tough mentally to stay up, isn't it?
Well, yes, especially even when Doug was in the minors, and then when I was in the minors, we didn't have this. You know what I'm saying?
The wonderful ballparks.
We didn't have beautiful facilities like this.
Or
we
the
played in
and stuff like
the food and all the 5 different uniforms and things of that nature. So I try to get these kids to take advantage and understand that it's been a process, and that it wasn't always like this. So don't just think that this is the way it is, but appreciate what you have right now and try to get to Cincinnati. And whether you get to the big leagues with Cincinnati, we hope everybody that we draft, we can take to Cincinnati.
Sure.
But the realization is that's not going to happen. And you can make it to the big leagues with some other club. So go out there, try to prepare yourself. It's a long season. And not try to get too high or too low, but just go out there and play good baseball and let the chips fall where they may.
And you know, every time you play a game, it's not just your team evaluating you. There's several teams evaluating you.
That's a great point.
And you might be able to impress somebody else while you're out on the field. Speaking of the draft, you were at the draft this year.
Yes.
You were there to pull out the first number and announce that. So how was that?
That was good. That's probably about the 3rd time I did it.
Oh,
so,
really?
It's a great time. I mean, you get a chance to see a lot of the guys that I admired, some of the guys that I had played with, some of the guys that I had played against. I mean, Andre Dawson and Dave Winfield and all of these guys with Carlos
Classic
May was
guys.
there, who I hadn't seen, at Lee's brother that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it's almost like a baseball reunion when you get down there to see that. So we had so much fun, and it's always an honor to be able to represent the club in that capacity. For them to feel as much as they do about me, to have me do that. So I'm just blessed and honored that they let me do it.
You've earned that right, partner.
Thank you. I appreciate
You've
it.
earned that.
Well, and you earned it on the field, and you had the 5 tools. You know, you could steal a base and obviously hit for power and track balls down, and then, you know, you could do it all. But a guy like you makes it look easy, but I think maybe the young guys, even when they Google you, they have no idea of the work you had to put in to make it look easy.
No, and when I try to reiterate some of the things that goes on in the minor leagues, that the first thing that I tell them is that
Tough break right there for Irvin. He tried to battle through that at bat, but sometimes that happens, Coach.
the first thing you got to know is that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
You know, I try to get them to understand that this is a failure sport. It's the only sport in the world where you can fail 7 times to be considered great.
That's right.
But now it's how you fail. Now, am I going to fail with dignity, or am I going to fail with a chip on my shoulder? I want a chip on my shoulder because I'm going to try to be better than 300. And so getting the kids to understand the philosophy behind how to get my at-bats and how to steal bases and how to grind, that's a difficult part. But we have, in this organization, we have a lot of kids that are really students of the game, so that makes for teaching that much easier.
Who mentored you when you were coming up?
We didn't have any mentors then. I ate all the bubble gum, and then I put the Henry Aaron cards in my bicycle to make some noise.
Didn't we not? Once you got to the big leagues, I know there were a couple of guys that had a big impression on you.
The first person when I started to play pro ball that I emulated was Andre Dawson.
Not bad.
The Braves was on TV a lot, so I got a chance to see Dale Murphy. That's when they moved him from catcher to center field. And I just loved the loosey-gooseness of his wrist. He had power from foul pole to foul pole. He stole bases. He did a lot of things. And so I watched those different kind of guys. Dave Parker was very influential.
Your buddy be going into the Hall of Fame this year with you.
Right. I played for Pete. You know what I'm saying? I played with Tony and Davey, all them guys. I was part of the Big Red Machine Senior. So I had a lot of guys who gave me a lot of knowledge. I was the only rookie when I came up in '84, and it was in that era where you was seen and not heard. And so I sit in that old little food room that we had at Riverfront and just soaked up a gang of knowledge. And that's what I try to get these kids to understand, is just sit back and you can learn more by listening and watching than you ever can by talking.
A runner goes. Ortiz takes ball 1. And an easy throw him out for Michael Perez. And that'll end the inning for the Dayton Dragons. Eric Davis, has been a privilege talking to you, and great to meet you.
This is a pleasure, man, and it's a pleasure meeting you. And Dougie, that's the super glue, I'm trying to tell you.
He's the super glue.
That's better than glue. That's the super glue.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure, baby.
See you, my friend.
All right.
Back with more Minor League Baseball Game of the Week. We are tied at 1 apiece here in Dayton, the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio, where the Silverhawks and the Dragons are tied at 1 apiece. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner, and a real thrill talking to Eric Davis. And I've never had the pleasure, but it was truly a privilege. That guy, one of the all-time greats in a Cincinnati uniform, and just a class act.
You remember when he got hurt in the '90 World Series?
Yes.
Had that, which it turned out to be an operation that he had to have, and very serious.
He was playing hurt going in.
He was playing hurt. You know, Eric and I have got to know each other through spring training and fantasy camps and all kinds of things like that. I have such respect for him now, because when he talks about the game, he has an appreciation for those that came before him. And he knows that a game didn't start once he got to the big league. So he has respect for the Pete Roses and the Tony Perez's and the Dave Parkers and guys like that, as well he should. And here's a guy who's a Cincinnati Reds Hall of Famer with some tremendous numbers. And 18 years, are you kidding me?
You know, it's interesting. This is how far back I'm dating myself, but I remember when he came up, having been a Reds fan when I was young, and still am. And I just remember, you know, he always seemed so young, and the next thing I know, You know, he's in his second decade of playing big league baseball. Good rip down the line. Ryan Gebhardt makes the turn. And a double leading off the 5th inning for the Silverhawks.
Boy, got a fastball and looks like he just turned on it. Hits it just inside the foul line going down the left field line. Thinking 2 all the way. Good hustle that time from Matthews over there to get the ball in.
Had to go down and get it.
Right now he's thinking 2. Gets right on the middle of the bag. But this ball's not fair by very much. But it doesn't have to be. His 5th double of the year. Scatters the bullpen.
For the second time in 3 innings, the Silverhawks put the leadoff man aboard by virtue of an extra base hit. Velasquez tripled the lead off the 3rd, came around to score. Almodovar with a thought about bunting. Popped out his last time up. Davis, though, could do it all.
He really could. He was smooth as silk, too, in the outfield. I like he says he likes to be in the dugout so that when he sees something, he can immediately go to the player while it's still fresh in his mind.
And interesting that the first thing he said was the players respect him once they've Googled him.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Tells you where we are now. It is in a way, but it just tells you where we are.
Yep. Well, I said the first 5 questions I get when I go to schools is, how much money did you make? What's your baseball cards worth? How big's your house? What kind of car do you drive?
Yeah.
Did you ever do drugs?
Yeah. Silverhawks trying to take the lead for the first time tonight. Fell behind 1-0 after the 2nd inning, tied it up in the 3rd. Almodovar going the other way with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're in the Dragons Den tonight,
2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out.
Please report to the Dragons Den to claim your
It's a good look at the longtime manager Mark Haley, drafted by the Pirates in '77, went to college, wound up coaching in the White Sox organization. Haley all over the Midwest League, managing the Carolina League down in Winston-Salem back when they were the Warthogs in '97.
Well, you don't stay in a place 10 years either unless you either love it or they love you. And I think this is a combination of both.
Well, he finally, as you said, did settle down here in the Midwest League. In fact, he was the Midwest League and Player Development Man of the Year for the D-backs in '05. So to your point, they think very highly of him.
And you know, he's quite content to be right there too, with no ambition to move on up to the big leagues, although I'm sure he wouldn't turn it down.
No.
But he loves being here in a teaching environment that was witnessed by the fact that he's been in college ball as a coach and a mentor to some of these young kids.
Almodovar, a native of Honolulu. You'll see a lot of Hawaiian-born players in the minor leagues. There's also a player in the Midwest League from Alaska. So if you've got talent, they'll find you.
That is a fact. And as we mentioned before, when you're out here playing, you're showcasing your talents for a lot of scouts that might happen to be here.
Another walk issued by Garrett. And if you're just joining us, he put on 3 in the 1st inning, but worked out of the jam. That's his first walk since then. So now runners at 1st and 2nd. Nobody out. Top of the order, Andrew Velasquez. He tripled last time up. Velasquez sent one screaming into the right field corner his last time up. Been on base twice. Here's the young man, the pitching coach for Dayton, Tony Fossas, who went out and settled Garrett back in the first inning.
Boy, he's got just a good arm. I believe the way his ball runs, I'd set up in the middle of the plate and just let him aim for that, and his ball's running in and out instead of trying to be too fine with his pitches.
Velasquez went the other way with it his last time up. He was a bit too fine leading him off in the first inning when he walked him.
Boy, just a small guy with a short stroke and a great approach, and you might think with a leadoff hitter like this, first two guys are on, nobody down, you'd be trying to move the runners, but they got enough confidence in him that he's going to be tough to double up. They're going to let him swing away, probably trying to hit the ball to the right side.
5'8", 175. And now well ahead in the count. Velasquez just celebrated a birthday on the 14th. Actually, I'm ahead of myself. An early happy birthday. And that's ball 4. Action in the bullpen for Dayton as they load him up. And Tony Foss is out of the Dayton dugout. Question is, will this be more than just a word for Garrett? Bases loaded once again, just as they were back in the first inning, but this time nobody out. Here's the bullpen action for Dayton. Tony Amezca, in his second year with the Dragons, so just another settle down talk by Foss. Worked last time. But Gebhardt is at third. Almodovar now is at second. Velasquez at first. Chuck Taylor with a big opportunity to put the Silverhawks ahead in this game for the first time tonight.
Now batting for the Silverhawks, the left fielder, Chuck Taylor.
Infield in a couple of steps. Corner infielders are well in. They'll try to cut him off at the plate. Up the middle, they'll go for 2, surrender a run. Outfield once again is shaded well toward right with a hard throwing lefty on the bump. Matthews pulled way over in left field, but still a gap right up the middle. Off speed gets that outside edge.
It's nasty right there. You got a 280 hitter here, 279 hitter. Knocked in 23 with a chance to do some damage.
Taylor an RBI his last time up with a ground ball.
Does a good job of laying off that pitch.
He absolutely did.
That's just the perfect 0-2 pitch. Throw it to that back leg with a good hard breaking ball, but he did a good job of holding up his swing.
Taylor still without an official at-bat. Drew a walk in the first inning. And that RBI ground ball back in the third. Brought home Andrew Velasquez. Taylor, a native of Corpus Christi, Texas. We visited his hometown just a few weeks ago. Great pitch by Garrett. Tied him up. 1 out.
Well, you got that right. That pitch just came in underneath his hands and ate him up alive. Look at that ball move. Good slider.
And dropped at the end.
You know, here's a guy who walks 3 straight, then comes back and throws a fastball in the outside corner, breaking ball in the outside corner, and then a good slider that just eats him up.
Well,
so
back in the first, he walks 2, and then he just handles Pelka. But that's the man at the plate right now with the bases full, 1 out. And he hammers it on the run. Irvin. That'll get a run home. It's a 2-1 lead, but that could have been a lot worse.
It could. Irvin showing some of that athletic ability, being a #1 draft choice. Got to that ball and handled it pretty easily. And Boy, the runner on first, Andrew Velasquez, was almost around second.
So Gebhardt comes around. There's a good shot of him tagging and scoring easily. But as Doug said, it was almost a disaster on the bases now for South Bend. And Dayton tries the appeal at second, asking if I guess if perhaps Velasquez might have gotten all the way there and not re-tagged.
Good point right there, Dick.
So 2 down now and a 2-1 South Bend lead.
You know, with only 2 umpires working, it never hurts to take a chance and try one of those appeals because you never know what they see or don't see.
Joe Munoz out of Diamond Bar, California. Second round draft pick 2 years ago. Garrett misses downstairs with the off speed.
He's got a good look right there. Richard Riley behind the plate and Ryan Doherty on the bases. They only work with a 2-man crew in A ball.
Munoz a walk in the first, bounced out the second in the 3rd inning. As Daniel Piggott made a great scoop in the dirt for Dayton.
That 0-2 pitch is not exactly where he wanted it. He got that up over the plate a little bit too much when he's been throwing it pretty good down and in. And
boy, his heart had to be in his mouth when he let it go too.
So he got away with that one. Now you're liable to see a real good one come back.
Well, he's well off the plate as well. You wonder will he try to run it in.
Yeah, one of those guys with the open stance and try to drive in towards the ball.
Munoz in the DH spot tonight for South Bend. Silverhawks with a 2-1 lead off speed. Again, Irvin on the run, but this time, not Irvin, but Reynoso makes the grab in right field, and that'll do it. South Bend loads them up with nobody out. But the Dragons hold them to 1 run. South Bend takes a 1-0 lead, or 2-1 lead rather, here in Dayton. Go downstairs to Lauren Gardner. Lauren.
Well, guys, we've talked about how Dayton and the Dragons are a favorite amongst the fans. But you know what? It's also been pretty good to the players. 66 players that have played here in Dayton have made their way to the majors, including a handful of Reds players and key players at that, including the all-star Joey Votto. He raved so much about his time here in Dayton that they put a quote of his outside of the clubhouse saying, quote, "Fifth Third Field in Dayton, Ohio is one of the most special places for all of baseball and the minor leagues, and it could be all of professional baseball. I enjoyed it here back in 2009, and I come back here today and I've received nothing but support and appreciation." Dayton has a fantastic fan base and another sellout this evening. And as for Joey Votto and the rest of the Reds, everybody that I've been able to speak with, they've said nothing but good things about playing here. And guys, we've been to a lot of minor league parks. Would you vote this the best place to play?
That's tough. That's a tough question, but I can tell you this. It's unanimous. You're right, Lauren, among the Reds that are quoted, and there are a lot of great Reds who have come through here. And as Eric Davis pointed out, maybe you'll end up with another team. Adam Dunn, of course, was a Red, so was Encarnacion and Drew Stubbs. They all go on to other teams, but they've all got roots in the Cincinnati organization. They all came through here, and you can see a lot of talented players. Doug, you mentioned this earlier, walked on this field, and every one of these Dayton Dragons, they want to be right where the Reds are right now. And
that's right, especially you look at those kids. They've got the same ambition that a lot of these youngsters that are playing in the game today do.
Haven Rachal leading things off for the Dragons here in the bottom of the 5th inning, trailing for the first time tonight by a 2-1 score. Fly ball to right his last time up. Weller just really finding a nice rhythm.
He's got a good rhythm, and he also has a good slider tonight. He's been able to locate that pretty much when he needs it. Not throwing anything over the middle of the plate, but starting it on the middle and making it go to the outside.
Rachal thought about staying home in Cypress, Texas, or nearby, and playing at the University of Houston. The Reds told him, "We're going to pay for your college education whenever you decide to go to school." That put him over the top, and he signed out of high school.
Kind of a tough strike right there. Class A, they like for you to swing the bats. No, I mean, seriously, they will tell you, we want you to swing the bats. You're not up there to walk, but you're also trying to learn a little discipline as well.
Even swings it this time, but Almodovar tracking. There's one out. Now Jonathan Reynoso reached on an error his last time up. It was that error that allowed Phillip Ervin to come around and score the only run of the game for the Dragons.
Right fielder, Jonathan Reynoso.
Undrafted free agent, signed with the Reds back in 2010. Sharp ground ball to short his last time up that Velasquez tried to make the throw and just lost control of it. I think we're seeing some more early swings against Weller than we did earlier.
Well, they don't want to get behind because he's got
Exactly.
that good breaking ball, so they're looking at first pitch fastball, and if they get it, they're trying to hack at it because he's in total control right now. Paint on the outside corner. As we say, one of the more experienced pitchers here at this level, trying to work his way back up the ladder.
Dragons previously located in Rockford, Illinois. They were the Rockford Express from '88 to '92. And they became the Rockford Royals, the Rockford Cubbies, the Rockford Reds in '99, and then moved here to Dayton. That first season, they set a Class A attendance record, 581,000, and Weller gets him to chase.
I mean, that's just good pitching right now. He's got excellent command with all of his pitches. Been able to paint on the outside corner, throwing a few balls on the inside just to get him off the plate, and then coming back with a slider and a fastball on the outside.
Gabriel Rosa, the DH, struck out his last time up. There was a player we thought we might see here tonight, but Lauren Gardner, we were looking for someone on a rehab assignment. He's not here tonight.
Yeah, well, we were hoping to see Reds utility infielder Jack Hanahan, who's been rehabbing from an off-season shoulder surgery, and unfortunately, he suffered a few setbacks throughout the season. And he told me earlier today when I spoke with him on the phone that he has not swung a bat since spring training. But he said the timetable is looking pretty good, especially in lieu of the injuries of Joey Votto and Brandon Phillips. He's hoping to get back to Cincinnati as soon as possible.
Thank you, Lauren. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across for the Dragons. We'll go to the 6th. South Bend 2, Dayton 1. Back with more of the minor league baseball game of the week on the CBS Sports Network. Super night for baseball here in Dayton. Let's go back downstairs to Lauren Gardner for a little more on a Red who is trying to get back in shape.
Well, to follow up on that conversation I had earlier tonight with Jack Hanahan, he said he's trying new things every day and is starting to feel better. He did play in the DH position on Tuesday, went 1 for 3 with a 2 RBI double. Said it just felt really good to get out there and take some good hacks and just be back with the team again. He said he's feeling really good about the progress that he's making. And he also said that he does plan on getting out there on defense this weekend, probably at first base, maybe move over to third. He threw for the first time since spring training again today around the diamond. Again, said that shoulder's feeling really good. Like I said in the last inning, the timetable is uncertain. It's day to day. He has been in constant communication, though, with Brian Price.
Thank you, Lauren. And the Reds, of course, dealing with an injury last night to Brandon Phillips, the outstanding second baseman, and Billy Hamilton tweaked a hamstring. So, but the news is better here in Dayton. We're going to talk with Bob Murphy, the president of the ball club. First of all, thank you for the hospitality. Everyone's been great. Tell me, what kind of a thrill has this streak of sellouts been? Great source of pride.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for not just the staff or the team, but also the community. And it has become a source of pride. Anytime that anybody brings up the name Dayton Dragons, the first thing people will ask about is the streak.
Yeah. Pressure. Is there pressure on you?
Always pressure.
How do you explain it, Bob? I mean, this is a city that, like a lot of towns, it was a good blue-collar town. It's known some hard times, but even when the economy was crumbling, you guys went through a big losing skid, and yet, look at this, more than 1,000 straight sellouts.
Yeah, I think when you look at all the things that came together perfectly for us, you know, it was like planets aligned. And it goes from having a great ownership group. I've been blessed with great staff. It's a great corporate community that has gotten behind the team. Being in the Reds' backyard has been a real asset for us. And I think that we have real, true baseball fans. They just love the sport of baseball, and they still talk about Crosley Field. They talk about Big Red Machine. It's just a part of their DNA.
Wait, could
now.
you say that last part again?
About the Red Machine?
You know, Eric Davis, here's an L.A. kid that's kind of adopted Dayton as his second home. He loves to come here.
Yeah, he's been real involved and active here, so it's been great to have him, and he's been a part of everything that we've been doing here.
You just saw the sign that commemorated the night that you guys broke the actual streak as striker Trahan stands in for South Bend. You broke the Portland Trailblazers streak of 814 straight sellouts. What was that evening like when you broke the record?
It was a little surreal. It was something that we were working towards for a long, long time, and then all of a sudden we were getting ready to start the season up, and we were looking at how far out it was. So it became, I guess it was just surreal. The community was really excited about it. The fans that night were energized. We had former Dragons players, you know, helicoptered in, and they landed in the plaza and came out and thanked the fans for the role that they have played in their professional development. It was just a spectacular evening.
You know, one of the things that I'm still old-fashioned about is we see a walk going on here now.
Lead off, man.
When I look at the bullpens that are down here where the fans can get an opportunity to watch the pitchers warm up, to me that's still exciting because I remember that as a kid when I got to do that.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the things that I think really connect people with sports and with athletes is when they have an opportunity to actually meet them, talk to them, get to know them. And we have many opportunities like that for our fans in Dayton. They will naturally follow them down the road. They will watch them on Fox Sports Ohio. They will go down there and watch them play. When we have 9 former Dragons in the Reds lineup, our people up here are paying great attention to that.
And a lot of them will even take credit for it too, won't they?
I bet they do.
Tony Ameska
it's their boys.
Tony Ameska now on the bump for Dayton as he walks the leadoff man, and now Jamie Westbrook hammers to left, but that's a foul ball. Or is it? No, I beg your pardon. That actually is a fair ball. I was blocked by the windowsill here. That is a double now for Jamie Westbrook, and men on second and third now. And another leadoff man finds third base for South Bend. Michael Perez with an opportunity to do some damage. We're talking with Bob Murphy, the president of the Dragons. Good look, and boy, he got under that one good.
Yeah, he got a hanging breaking ball. He just hammers it down the left field line. Looks at first like he's got a chance to go out, but it just short hops the fence. Nice job of being played by John Matthews to get the ball back in. But just when you throw those hanging breaking balls, man, it's amazing how many times the hitters do not miss them.
Bob, tell me a little bit about the ownership group that really has been behind this great job you guys have done. I know the team is changing hands, but Mandalay, I think, is selling, and those were Archie Griffin and Magic Johnson. Not a bad couple of co-owners to work for.
Yeah, they were really great. Archie, of course, is just up the road in Columbus, and he's very active with the team. In fact, he'll be bringing his staff here on tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. So the Mandalay group, I think, really had it right in that when they asked us to come here and do this startup, their charge to us, they tasked us, they said, whatever you do, just make it first class and make it professional. And that was the guidelines that they gave us, and they gave us resources, and they had faith in doing things differently, and they've been just terrific people to work for.
Interesting setup defensively now for Dayton. Left side of the infield is in, right side is not. There's a good look at the setup now with nobody out, runners at second and third.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of teams that'll do that. They're taking a chance that the balls he's going to pull, he's probably going to pull pretty hard, so you'll make sure you try to get it out, and the balls that he goes the opposite way with may not be hit as sharp.
Michael Perez trying to bring runners in, and now the entire infield comes in for Dayton.
Well, they've done that with 2 strikes. In a hitting count, they kept them back, and now in a pitcher's count, they bring them in.
just missing high with a breaking pitch. Key moment right here for Dayton, down 2-1, top of the 6th inning, and South Bend, which hung up single runs in the 3rd and the 5th, with the first 2 men getting on, both in scoring position, and the 3-2 pitch. We'll do it all over again. Do you get a chance to watch much baseball when you're here at the ballpark?
No, we don't.
Kind of knew that answer before I asked you the question, but this kind of thing, I guarantee you, wherever you are in the ballpark in a moment like this, you'll stop what you're doing, won't you?
Absolutely.
Make sure that you root them home. Another tough pitch. Bases loaded.
When Billy Hamilton played here, he was the one that would really stop all activity.
Yeah.
Not bad. What do you have, 103 stolen bases here?
Yes, sir.
Wow. And then the next year decided that wasn't enough, so he'd go out and have 150 something.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw a streak where 4 straight games he led off, and on the very next pitch stole second 4 consecutive times, and on 2 of those he stole third on the next pitch. That's a good look at Trahan, and then Westbrook, Michael Perez at first. Bases full for Ryan Gebhardt. He doubled his last time up back in the 5th inning, came around to score a run. Researching your ballpark in the streak, the term customer service kept coming up. So it's starting to sense a theme here.
Yeah, that is a very important aspect of what we do.
And you know, it seems like that's a given, but if you really go out of your way to stress it, people are going to notice something.
Yeah, and it is now a part of our culture that everybody loves the customer service that the people receive, and I think our staff takes great pride in it, and everybody tries to outdo each other as they go through it.
More action in the bullpen, Dick. Dragons have Zach Weiss warming up.
Nice stop there by Ortiz. He saved a run. There's the bullpen. Right-hander loosening with bases loaded, nobody out in a 1-run game. And now Tony Ameska just trying to minimize the damage with Weiss warming up.
You know, if people are comfortable coming to the ballpark and they know they can bring their kids and they can leave and have a good night and still be affordable, they're going to continue to come back.
I agree. We have renewal rates on our season tickets in 93, 95, and 97%.
Wow.
People renewing.
Good
night. And they do know. It's, you know, we keep this ballpark in perfect condition. The customer service is a very real thing. It's not just a speech point. Tremendous value, great food and drinks, and it's, you get to see the future of the team that they're going to cheer on in the future.
They're watching a cat and mouse game right now. 1-2 to Gebhardt. We keep showing the berm out there, the fans in the grass, and so many kids out there. You got to love that.
Yeah, everybody loves to ask, like when we were getting close to breaking the record, if we were going to put in additional seating out there. And we were like, no. This is part of the experience.
Yeah.
For families with small kids, it's like they can turn them loose. It's safe out there. They have a great time. And they're not stuck in a theater-style seat.
Gebhardt drops it down the line. 2-run score. And it's a 4-1 South Bend lead. Gebhardt just got it done, Doug.
Yeah, it looked like it was some kind of off-speed pitch, and he just served it out. I mean, that looked like something you would do in tennis. You see here, little breaking ball down on the ground, does a good job of going to get it. Not a bad pitcher's pitch. But he kept his hands back and just served it out. Perfect position.
So now runners at second and third, 2 in, still nobody out. And we could see that bullpen send another right-hander. And in fact, that is indeed what's going to happen. So Tony Ameska roughed up considerably by South Bend, which leads 4-1 now. We'll take a break, come back and chat some more with Bob Murphy, the president of the Dayton Dragons.
During the course of tonight's game, we need you to find a green teamer. That's right. We need to find a member of the 2014 Green Team.
Back in Dayton, Ohio, where South Bend threatening to break this one open. 2 runs in here in the 6th inning, a 4-1 lead. Zach Weiss, a 6'3" right-hander from Irvine, California, will try to slow things down a little bit, but he inherits runners at 2nd and 3rd. Nobody out. Weiss, a 6th round pick last year. Spent last season in a Reds Arizona League ball club and then went up to Billings. Moved him to Dayton this year. They're going to see if he can work out of a jam right here. Talking to Bob Murphy, the president of the Dayton Dragons, about the long streak, but also the fact that they put a good product on the field, and the fact that you are so close to Cincinnati. And as you said, these fans really have a feeling of ownership, do they not, of these ball players? They can watch them so easily go on.
Yeah, and it is really interesting for them to watch these kids come in, their draft picks, and they get their first opportunity to play professional ball here. And I do think that when you play in front of this many people with the media that we have covering this, I do think it really does accelerate their professional development.
I agree, and it gets them used to playing in front of a big crowd, and, you know, doing some interviews. We've just been thoroughly impressed with everything. Of course, we'd heard about it and been a part of the Red system for a few years. I kept hearing about how good this place was, and then one of our own, Austin Kearns, I believe, was here the first year that they opened the ballpark, and had some. We were looking at one of his streaks where he went and hit a home run in 8 consecutive ball games, ended up with 10, hit 700, and so we sort of kind of were keeping up with that back in Lexington just because of one of our own. No one was wrong. Everything they said about this was absolutely dead on.
Breland Almodovar, the first man to face Weiss. That's going to get home 1, and now it's going to get home 2. Second error of the ball game, first committed by the Dragons, and that was Carlton Dahl just took his eye off the ball, Doug.
Yeah, he came in and tried to field it off to the side, which you see a lot of young infielders do, especially a lot of Latin infielders, because they've been used to doing that. It's not necessarily wrong, but that's a case where you want to try to at least get in front of it. And he felt like he could make an easy play. So he comes in, the ball just happens to go underneath his glove.
So now a 6-1 game, South Bend leading it over Dayton with a man at first, nobody out, and boy, limping into the dugout. That's Michael Perez. So we'll see if Lauren can figure out what's going on in the South Bend dugout. Runner goes, big jump. Ortiz didn't really have a chance with a left-handed batter in there, and a huge jump. An easy steal for Almodovar.
We've seen a lot of throws going to second where catchers are rushing it just a little bit and the ball hitting in the dirt.
Did you grow up a Reds fan, Bob? What's your background?
I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York.
So that would be a no. But a baseball fan, I've got to think.
Definitely. But really enjoy football and hockey.
Hard to get a little taste of hockey in this part of the world, isn't it?
It's a little bit more challenging than being in Buffalo, that's for sure. We do have a great collegiate program right near here in Miami University.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, I wasn't going to say it, but I will. My dad is a UD grad. He went to Dayton here and played on their first NIT team back with Coach Donaher, and came out of the service to University of Dayton, and still gets a chance to come back up here for a reunion or two. So he's 86 now, and
that's
Pop,
great.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Andrew Velasquez, the leadoff batter.
That's it, pretty good.
That is drilled, but it is hooking, and it is foul. Velasquez knows that right corner. He tripled into that right field corner back in the 3rd inning. Came around to score the first run of the game for South Bend. He has walked twice and stolen a base. So Velasquez, the man who specializes in getting on base, now 69 straight games, has been a real thorn for the Dayton Dragons.
Showed a little pop that time for a guy not real big. Hit that ball a long way.
5'8", 175, switch hitter. Well over 300 in the streak, the on base string of games. Slugging up over 500. And again, Ortiz does a nice job of keeping the ball in front of him.
We have made mention before that when you're a part of the ball club and you're here every night, you wear several hats.
Yeah, definitely. But I think one of the great things with our staff, though, is that they really just jump in and get the job done. There's no territorial stuff. It's a real team effort to pull off a party like this 70 times a year.
I noticed that Gary was very quick to blame the first thing that happened here with the lights going off on you, though. So it looks to me like the buck stops with you regardless of what happens, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much true.
Big out recorded by Dayton as the dangerous Velasquez heads back to the dugout. But now Chuck Taylor, who has a walk, driven in a run with a ground ball, struck out his last time up. As we talked to Bob Murphy, the president of the Dayton Dragons, who hold the professional sports, just any sport in the country. They're all chasing Dayton now when you talk about a string of sellouts.
Okay, my question would be right now, is Chuck Taylor wearing Converse?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
And I'm trying to see, but I cannot tell that.
Is he wearing Chuck Taylors?
Is he wearing Chuck Taylors?
Well, growing up, that's all we had. That's all. It seemed like that's all we needed.
He may be a little young to know that.
There's your answer. The answer is no, but it was worth checking on.
Had to ask.
Thanks to the guys in the truck. AJ, our producer, right on top of things as always. Tim Cushing, our director tonight. Long inning for the Dragons. They're trying to get out of it, but a crooked number for South Bend. Weiss gets that inside corner.
One of the best things that happened within our community was that the Dragons 2 years ago were recognized as one of the top 5 professional sports teams in the country.
Period, yeah.
Period.
Daylight play, not quite. All right, we've talked about Doug and I and Lauren through our travels, just the tremendous nicknames in minor league baseball, and they're all just fun. There's a good look at. They had a good shot at him, Doug. A little bit more. They've got him.
A little bit late. The reason they call that a daylight play is because when the shortstop gets behind the runner, as soon as he passes him and he throws that glove out, and you see a little daylight, bang, that's when you're supposed to turn. A little late that time by the pitcher.
Now Weiss jumps ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes. But the Dragons, one of the top nicknames. Can you tell us how that name came about?
You know, it really happened in one of our initial meetings when we were meeting with the city of Dayton and talking about the deal and negotiating terms. Someone had asked, like, so what's going to be the name of the team? And we don't really know who it was that just kind of said it. But
it worked.
But it worked, and that's what we started to run with. And we started with Art, and just checking out, like, what are the possibilities here? And it's really been a great mark for us.
We love the uniforms, the sleeveless uniforms. We think that really looks good because you don't see a lot of those anymore, kind of from the old style.
Color scheme is also unique. Just a lot of things to like about this ballpark and the way you guys do business. I know you're not happy right now with your team trailing 6-1, but Weiss has come in and kind of settled things down a little bit for the Dragons out of the Dayton bullpen. 2 down, back-to-back strikeouts. But a tough out right here. Daniel Pelka, sac fly his last time up. 0 for 2 otherwise.
One of the things that I love about this level of baseball is that you can be down 6-1 and it's not over.
That's right.
Yeah. I've got to think, too, it's challenging for you and your staff to keep improving and keep challenging and pushing yourselves to get better every year.
Yeah, it's part of our culture, though. So, we're already planning and working towards next season. We start doing that as soon as we open up in April. We'll start doing all of our strategic planning so that we're ready to go into the off season, and we're already moving on season ticket renewals, renewing groups, reporting back to our corporate partners, renewing the season tickets.
Is the park used for other things? Do you do concerts and stuff like that?
We have done concerts. we do a lot of community events here too. You know, like the Buddy Walk, the Heart Walk, the Cancer Walks. You know, they like to begin here, they like to leave here, and we're really helping out those types of charities by doing that type of thing.
Outstanding.
9,490.
Quick mound visit by Ortiz. 1 ball, 1 strike. Most dangerous hitter in this lineup for South Bend. But it looks like they'll contain him again. Dahl makes the grab, but a big inning for South Bend. They hang up 4 and take a 6-1 lead. Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bob, congratulations. Good to see you, buddy.
And thanks for coming here. We appreciate your support.
Our pleasure completely. 5-run lead for the visitors. A home team will try to cut into that when they come back. Minor League Baseball game of the week on the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, South Bend with a 6-1 lead over the Dragons. And let's go back downstairs to Lauren Gardner. Lauren?
Well, we saw the catcher for South Bend, Michael Perez, limp off the field after he scored into the dugout. He was treated by the athletic trainer. They took a look at that left knee. He ran up and down the dugout, grimacing in pain a lot of times. He is out there, as you can see, behind the plate. He's going to give it a go. He looks like he's in a lot of pain, though. We'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. Lauren Gardner enjoying just a gorgeous evening. She's had some rough ones when we've traveled to areas where we've had heat and humidity, but nothing to complain about tonight. Just unseasonably cooler weather here in Ohio. And as we've said several times, just a perfect night for baseball. But Dragons with some work to do. Ronaldo Bueno will try to get things started. Bounce back to the pitcher in the 3rd inning. It seemed like so long ago he got his first at-bat because Blaine Weller, the big right-hander for South Bend, has really handled Dayton so far. And, of course, a couple of long innings in the 5th and the 6th for the Silverhawks. That last pitcher we saw for Dayton who came in and got the job done, Zach Weiss, Tom Nichols, the fine play-by-play man and PR man for Dayton, just popped into our booth, and he's been so helpful with us here on our trip to Dayton. But he told us that the family, the Weiss family, believes that there is a connection between their family and Harry Houdini, whose real name was Weiss. So they're doing a little research.
Aha.
Yeah. So,
well, the way he pitched last inning,
I was going to say, please insert metaphor here.
Thank you. Boy, just total command. He's got a good running fastball, been in the 90s most of the evening. Great location, good slider. The kind of outing, if you're a manager, you're hoping that you get from your starter.
Miller gave up the walk in the 2nd inning. The unearned run. Strike 3. Otherwise, with the exception of a walk in the 4th, he's been an absolute command.
Yeah, here's a pitch just right down the middle of the plate.
Guessing otherwise.
Yeah, Bueno must have been looking for something else, but 2 strikes, not much argument, just walk back.
Top of the order now, John Matthews, 0 for 2 tonight. He's been on a tear, but quiet this evening. Let's take a look at the MILB.com news from around the league for the past week. And boy, Mike Yastrzemski just tearing it up at Class A Advanced Frederick. Went for the cycle, got the triple in his last at bat. He was 5 for 5, Carolina League Player of the Week.
A little pedigree there.
Telling you, grandson of the one and only Yaz. And a great night, Bradenton, at the Marauders will hold the Evan Chambers night. Actually having that tonight, paying tribute to the former outfielder who passed away suddenly last December. Charitable components of tonight's game benefiting the Foundation of Dreams. That's the organization that owns and operates the Dream Oaks camp where Chambers had a regular presence. Eastern League All-Stars announced. Baseball's top prospect is back from an injury. We've seen some great ones, but they tell us that Byron Buxton of the Twins may be the best of all. Came back Sunday after a wrist sprain, kept him out for nearly 2 months. First time back, made a great play in center field. Great things to come for that organization with a young man like that.
We've seen some good ones, so if he's the best of the bunch, then he must be something.
Boy, Willer, back-to-back strikeouts now. MILB.com, your home to all the latest news, stats, and schedules from around the minors. Check it out today at MILB.com. Stay up to date on all the action. It's the second time we've read Mike Yastrzemski's name in our headlines this season.
It's 7 punch-outs right now, too.
Carlton Dahl goes the other way, but covering ground. Striker Trahan runs it down in right center field. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across. We'll go to the 7th. South Bend with a 5-run lead on the minor league baseball game of the week. CBS Sports Network. South Bend 6, Dayton 1. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner. Be sure you join us next Thursday. We're going to head to the Cornhusker Stadium, and the New Orleans Zephyrs, the Marlins affiliate, will travel to Omaha to take on the Storm Chasers, the affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Pacific Coast League AAA action on the minor league baseball game of the week. 9 p.m. Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. First chance to see a Marlins affiliate and a Royals affiliate. Not just a beach ball tonight being batted around, but not sure what those are. Are those whales? Are they dolphins? Those are whales? Oh, it's past the whale con. Okay, past the whale night. Got
Where
it.
have you been, man?
Well, I've been, you know, looking up notes and talking to our truck. And
Hey, and we want to thank Michelle for driving us over here.
I think we should, yeah. From the Crown Plaza Hotel, did a great job. Dropped us off right at our production truck.
Didn't realize she had talent in the club, in the cars.
Talent. Got us here in one piece.
That's
all you can ask for. All you can ask for. It's so much fun, though, as we said, everybody around the hotel asking, you know, you here for the game? I mean, you know, game day, game night. It's
That's
just,
right.
They're all about baseball here in Dayton, Ohio. But their favorite Class A team is down 5 runs, and now South Bend will try to stretch things out. Farm Club of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Franchise very successful. 6 league titles, 12 division titles through the years. Successfully moving players up. You know, we talked about with Eric Davis, maybe you make it to the bigs with a different ball club. A young man that we saw play college baseball, Colin Cowgill, spent part of his career in South Bend, did extremely well, moved up through the ranks, but D-backs didn't really have much room for him, so eventually he lands where he is right now in Anaheim, and he's the 4th outfielder for the Angels. So like you said, somebody's always watching.
Well, it's not that the team doesn't want you necessarily all the time. It's just that somebody else wants you more. And they need a need or have a need to fill you in. So those of us, after we got traded the first time, it wasn't any big deal. So we just
Didn't take it personally?
No, you can't take it personally.
Left center, Irvin makes the grab. So important to let your teammates know that you're going to make that catch. Otherwise, you might be seriously injured.
That's true. I've heard of guys getting busted ribs and you know, lungs all messed up.
You hear the horror stories. I know you got wiped out on a play.
I saw a guy, Duke Gonzalez, one time just get hammered.
Really?
Yeah. Back I think.
What happened?
Well, he didn't call for the ball, and so they had a collision, and that's why it's very important that you raise your hands or speak real loud. I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Or else you're on the DL.
On the DL.
Now, when you got mowed down, were you injured?
I was not. I happened to have a right fielder that, no, I was in New York. I had a right fielder that happened to hear me call it, and he slid underneath me. Took my feet out from under me, but he didn't hurt me.
Philip Irvin, or rather striker Trahan.
Hey fans, it says keep your eye on the ball at all times.
Trying to find his way on again. He walked to open the 6th inning, and that just sort of swung the gate open.
All right,
for South Bend.
Striker, you know where the name came from?
Well, I do because I saw the notes, but this is a great story.
Burt Reynolds' movie used to be on television. I guess it was a series called
yeah.
Striker on back in the early 90s, I assume.
89, 90, I think.
Yeah. And that was Mr. Reynolds. Striker, I think it's just called Striker.
So Striker, yeah.
So that's hence the name. I think it's kind of interesting.
And his mom liked the name. And Reynolds played a PI who solved crimes among rich people in West Palm Beach. Well, who wouldn't like that? But the cool thing about it is, and I don't remember the record player. He drove a Cadillac, which I remember, but it had a record player under the dashboard that played 45, played the small records, vinyl. Now, more importantly, this young man was a first-round draft pick 2 years ago out of high school in Scott, Louisiana. Was a catcher in high school. They moved into the outfield. I mentioned Striker's mom, Donna, who was an outstanding athlete and all-state softball catcher. She lost her battle with cancer just as he was beginning his pro career, passed at the age of 43. So real bittersweet moment for this young man moving into his professional career. Got a big bonus, but mom wasn't there to celebrate with him. And no doubt he's making her proud. Couldn't catch up with that one. 2 down.
Kid got a good arm. Good live fastball in the 90s. We're seeing most of these kids, even at the Class A level, that are throwing the ball in the low to mid 90s. There's a good fastball.
As you pointed out, you run into a lot of pitchers who can throw it hard, but can they move the ball? Is there movement on their fastball? And can they mix it up?
And can they find the plate when they're doing it as well?
A great point.
Which we saw earlier tonight when Garrett started pitching. He had a great live arm, but just had trouble throwing it over the plate.
Yeah. Not a bad outing for him. Gave up just the 1 run. Actually make it 2.
Boy, good mixture right there. 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Come back with an 82-mile-an-hour slider.
Weiss up to 3 strikeouts.
That time, good location with the fastball. An 0-2 pitch. You don't want to get too close. A good job by Westbrook to foul it off.
Jamie Westbrook trying to find his way on again. Doubled back in the 6th inning. Scored a run. Signed with Pepperdine, but then was drafted in the 5th round by the D-backs. Decided to go ahead and begin his pro career. 5'9", 170. Good look at Zach Weiss, 3rd pitcher tonight for Dayton. Off speed.
Wow, nice play.
Good pickup. And another good inning for Weiss. He's recorded 6 straight. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. South Bend with a 6-1 lead on Dayton. Minor League Baseball game of the week. More to come on the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn. Let's go back downstairs to Lauren Gardner. Lauren.
Well, for South Bend, the starter and 24-year-old Blaine Weller will be taking the mound again for the 7th inning. And I actually witnessed the pitching coach, Doug Bacher, tuck around the corner in the dugout here at the top of the inning to text the pitching coordinator to get the green light to put him in. He's at 81 pitches at this point, guys.
Interesting.
He looks pretty strong, Lauren. He's got great command.
Nice pickup by Velasquez and a strong throw, retiring Daniel Piggott on the first pitch of the inning. So to Lauren's point, that out didn't tax his right arm.
No, that's a very nice pickup too by Velasquez. Gets over, backhands it, sets his feet right with a good strong throw to first base. And you know, that's one of those plays that he made look routine. That's not that easy a play.
I thought that was interesting when she told us about texting the pitching coordinator. You and I have talked a lot about the technological advances in the game and pitch counts, and I know you're not real crazy about that, but it's just interesting. They're able to stay on the same electronic page thanks to texting and
Amazing.
emails and things during games.
Amazing. I guess that beats the old phone call. They used to go down to the bullpen. And
Yeah, if you can get in touch with somebody, if you can get them to answer, you know, hey, can we keep this guy on the bump? Now Phillip Ervin.
I would say they may have a rule or two that says that phone is to be used only for professional purposes.
Like the bat phone.
Like the bat phone, exactly.
Ervin drew a walk, scored a run back in the second inning, staked his team to a 1-0 lead. And there you see his numbers. Popped out to first in the fourth. Weller just blows it right by him.
Well, he's got a big swing. As we said, got off to a slow start this year, hoping to kind of bounce back and have a good second half of the season.
Dragons scored a run with a walk and an error, unearned. That's been it for their offense. Ervin batting in the cleanup spot. First round draft pick in 2013 out of Sanford in Birmingham. Had a huge junior year, 337, 11 homers. Scored 58 runs, stole 21 bases in 55 games. We mentioned he was injured in high school, so draw a lot of attention. Foul ground, Pelka. 2 out.
Boy, they just continually keep pitching him away. And that ball was off the end of the bat. You see him shaking his head as if he felt like he got a pretty good pitch to hit. But just off the end of the bat. You know, he looks good at the plate right now, just going through a little rough time. Has Lauren done any food tonight?
I don't know if she's been to the concession stand yet. And so busy talking about this great ballpark and the streak.
Well, I smell things up every now and then, get an aroma come through our window. Smell like, I don't know. They still sell corn dogs at the ball game?
Well, we had one that was wrapped in bacon, and then
how good was
fried
that?
again. There's where we need to send Lauren. Hammered, but foul ground for Jose Ortiz. We all went down to the Reds game last night. She was
it was wonderful.
Kind enough to show us where they were selling the chicken and waffles, a new offering at Great American Ballpark. Good off-speed pitch, gets that outside edge for Weller. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good breaking ball. That you just can't hit that one. Like I say, that's the one that got me into slow pitch softball.
Yeah, but he's right-handed.
It didn't matter.
It's the lefties you don't like.
No, I don't like any of them.
Oh, okay. Action may be forthcoming in the bullpen for South Bend.
He win, I believe.
He absolutely win. Ortiz could not hold up, and another strikeout for Weller, and another outstanding inning for the right-hander from South Bend. We'll take a break. The Dragons trail South Bend 6-1. Here on the minor league baseball game of the week, CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, Ohio, Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner, the Dragons trailing the Silverhawks 6-1 here at Fifth Third Field. Dragons jumped out to the 1-0 lead, but it's been all South Bend ever since. A run in the third, 1 in the fifth, 4 in the sixth. That young man has come out of the bullpen to shut things down of late for the Dragons. Zach Weiss.
He has looked very impressive with a good arm and a couple, throwing a couple off-speed pitches, throwing strikes.
He's faced 7 batters. The first reached on a throwing error on a routine play. And then after that, he's retired 6 in a row, 3 by strikeout. Michael Perez drew a walk back in the 6th inning, came around to score. 0 for 2 on the day. Struck out back in the 2nd. Fly ball in the 4th.
Boy, good running fastball that time. Catcher wasn't even able to get it. And that was 931 miles an hour.
Really? It didn't look quite that fast.
Or maybe it's 93.1.
Or maybe you're looking at time of day. Is it 9:31 Eastern time?
No, it's only 9 o'clock.
Okay.
No, it's. You know what's also very new and very different to these minor league ballparks is they all have these big screen TVs now.
Yep.
Wonderful scoreboards.
Perez 5'11", 180. 5th round pick in 2011.
Take a good look there at the scoreboard. We didn't have anything like that. No TVs, nothing digital.
You were just born too soon.
No, I was born just right, actually.
You did have color TV, right? You did?
I remember the first color television set that we got, and I thought Dad had robbed something because there was a console with a had a record player, radio, and a color TV set on it. Oh my gosh!
Hammered off Weiss. Rashal with an opportunity, but thinks better of it. So an infield single for Perez.
It looked like it must have got glove, because if it didn't, wow! I still don't know if that was glove or if that was off part of his body.
Well, they're going to give the Dragons a chance to check on Weiss.
I think that missed the glove and then went right by it and got part of his body.
Tyler Steele, the athletic trainer, out along with the pitching coach, Tony Fosses.
Looked like it hit him right on his pitching arm. He says he's fine. Have to throw one, though. Don't want it to tighten up and don't want to take any chances. This ball gets back in a hurry. You can see him try to get his glove up, but just not in time.
Now that right arm has been what has separated Dayton from a blowout, as South Bend was really piling on in the 6th inning. Weiss came in, shut it down. There's Tony Fosses.
You know, every team now has an athletic trainer, and that will probably get somebody going in the bullpen as we see him motion down just in case that he tightens up or something's wrong.
And you are indeed correct. Scott Bratvet loosening quickly for Dayton. So now Ryan Gebhardt, 2-run double back in the 6th inning. Pair of doubles tonight. Had one in the 5th as well. Came around to score.
Yeah, his last one was just a great piece of hitting, a breaking ball that was down. Good pitcher's pitch, but he waited back, served it out over third base for a double and 2 RBIs.
Tough luck base hit. Struck out back in the 2nd inning. So 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in. Out of the number 8 hitter. Nice backhanded stop by Rashal. Good for 1 out.
Boy, the right thing that time. Bueno was thinking about turning it. I don't think he had a good grip on the ball. And if you don't have a good grip, don't try to turn it. Plus, it was going to be close anyway with the good speed that Gebhardt had going down to first.
So now Breland Almodovar, as you get one more look, and a quick
makes a throw just
exchange.
a little low. I don't think he has a good handle on it, though, because if he does, he'll probably try to turn it.
But Rashal came up with a baseball out of that mid very quickly and made a strong throw. So Almodovar will try to stay out of the double play. Oh for 2 on the night. Popped out. Reached on an error his last time up. Drew a walk back in the 5th inning. Reynoso in right field. 2 out. Top of the order for South Bend, Andrew Velasquez. They finally retired him back in the 6th when they caught him looking. That was Weiss. First strikeout of the night. Otherwise, a pair of walks, a triple, scored a run, stole a base.
Jose Davis, yeah, heading out to the mound. Yep. I think still seeing something that's not quite right.
So they'll extend the meeting if they're going to make a change. Although I got to tell you that.
I'll tell you what they'll do at this level. And with a guy getting a shot like that, he comes in, does a good job. You got to go and get some ice on it right now.
Yeah, they may give him more than 8 pitches as well, although Brodfeld has had time to get loose. So we'll take a break. Come back and tell you all about the new pitcher in just a minute. South Bend 6, Dayton 1, minor league baseball on the CBS Sports Network. South Bend with a 6-1 lead on Dayton here in the home half of the, or rather the top half of the 8th inning.
Dick, we got a good look at Weiss leaning over the dugout that time. Didn't put any ice on it. And you saw him talking to the trainer earlier as if to say, I'm okay, but never hurts to put some ice on, which I think is the best medicine that they ever made.
There's a good look at Scott Brodfeld coming in out of the bullpen after Weiss took a line drive off his throwing arm.
And it's good to know that 3/4 of the earth's covered with that medicine in it.
Ice or water?
Yeah, well, water, which turn it into ice.
Just raw ice.
Just raw ice is all it is.
You're right.
Doesn't seem to be in any pain, though.
So now top of the order, Velasquez will try to extend this inning for South Bend. And we're talking about the manager for Dayton, Jose Nieves. Last year, his Dragons set a franchise record for fewest errors in a season. Big club had to like that.
Big Club's got a pretty good defensive team, too. There's another kid coming in throwing pretty good.
Nieves with a 5-season big league career, 13 years in the minors. So you think about the experience, think about the stories. 3-0 pitch for a strike. But you know, through our travels, we've encountered all kinds of coaches and managers who found their way to their respective jobs so many different ways.
You know, there's a lot of kids now that are trying to get to the big leagues so they can start getting a part of that pension, but there's others that the game kept them around, and now they're making a good living helping others just to stay in the game and even get to the big leagues. And hopefully those that make it will appreciate those that help get them there.
So on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs, Velasquez walks for the 3rd time tonight. Brodfeld loses the first man he faces, and now with runners at first and second and 2 out, Chuck Taylor steps in. Got off to a good start. Drew a walk in the first. Drove in a run with a ground ball back in the 3rd inning. Back-to-back strikeouts since then. Taylor didn't get a real chance to take advantage of facing a lefty tonight.
Pretty good cut.
Against lefties, he's hitting .405.
Boy, had a good cut at a fastball just then.
Against Garrett, drew the walk, had the RBI ground ball. Then he struck out.
Oh, good off speed right there.
Absolutely. So Brodfeld battles back. and strands 2, and we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Silverhawks lead it over the Dragons 6-1 on the minor league baseball game of the week here on the CBS Sports Network. Back in Dayton, where the offense just hasn't happened tonight for the Dragons. As you can see, Blaine Weller has been extremely sharp with the 7 strikeouts. Ryan Gebhardt with a big night. Amir Garrett, not a bad performance, although he did walk 5. And the Dragons just really haven't had anything going offensively since the 4th inning.
No, they've really struggled, but a lot of that has to do with Blaine Weller because of the great command that he has had. He's been able to throw fastballs and locate it, as well as a good breaking ball that has been his out pitch tonight. So not surprisingly that the offense for the Dragons hasn't been a very potent.
Arvin Rashal will lead things off. Mispronounced that. Avon Rashal. 0 for 2. Pair of fly balls tonight. 6 foot 195. Reds drafted him as a pitcher out of Cy-Fair High School in Cypress near Houston. You got to love the name of his high school coach, Woody Champagne.
Oh, perfect. What a good name.
Apparently a pretty good coach. John Shuttlesworth loosening the right-hander in the South Bend bullpen. Weller just found that gear early in the game, and he has just been so fluid.
Well, there's that breaking ball we talked about, just out of the zone. You know, he comes in with a 4-4 record and a 4.52 ERA and 73 innings pitched and 82 hits. So, you know, maybe it's just been a mechanical thing, or tonight this is what they've really been expecting to see from him. Still throwing well, 94 miles an hour on that fastball right there.
Here's the bullpen come to life. As Lauren Gardner mentioned earlier, they had to get permission from the pitching coordinator to allow Weller to keep on throwing. So Shuttlesworth is ready whenever needed.
I tell you, if you're throwing 93 and 94 and you're in the 8th inning, it's obvious that you're in pretty good shape. Of course, he hadn't thrown a lot of pitches up to this point.
Three-two.
Good or bad here, battling those fastballs.
Just about to say, Rochelle's going to make him work as hard as he can. Weller tries the 3-2 again. Got him to chase.
Boy, just a running fastball, and that's what he's had all night. Been able to get that fastball running away. There's just some good giddy up right there.
9 strikeouts for Blaine Weller so far.
He seems to be getting stronger. Pretty good pitch there. Called it a ball inside.
Jonathan Reynoso reached on an error back in the 2nd inning, struck out in the 5th. That error resulted in the only run of the game for the Dragons. Challenged him with a fastball. Jumps out ahead in the count.
You know, as hard as he's throwing tonight, I mean, you're going to have to really get on top of that baseball if you're going to hit with any authority at all, especially on that fastball up. And there's just a
that's nasty
pitch,
just unhittable. And
Reynoso doesn't agree with it.
No, he absolutely does not. Frustrating night for the Dragons.
Well, let's see if this catcher, where you could tell, oh yeah, that pitch is probably outside, and catcher frames it well. Watch him take it, and he'll shove it back in, which is what they teach catchers to do.
Yep. 105 pitches now for Weller. 65 strikes prior to that offering to Gabriel Rosa. Struck out, hit a fly ball. 4-run 6th inning. Followed a 1-run 5th. Broke up a 1-1 tie. A real pitcher's duel, although Amir Garrett struggled a bit more than Weller. Left after 5 innings.
Now maybe trying to overthrow just a little bit. It's kind of like the horse trying to get to the barn. You can smell it. And right now he's needs to back off and relax a little bit, get back into the rhythm that got him this far. There's a good pitch.
Weller trying to wrap up another 1-2-3 inning. And that's strike 2, and Rosa is going to have a word. Might have a case. might have a case right there.
Wow. I think that one pretty much speaks for itself.
So now the count is full with 2 out. To the Dayton designated hitter. They play him straight away in the outfield. Challenge with a fastball. Taylor going back. A long out for the Dragons. That'll do it. Another impressive outing in the 8th for Weller. 6-1 lead for South Bend. Back with more of the minor league baseball game of the week. Just another part of the gorgeous backdrop of a great night for baseball here at Fifth Third Field in Dayton, where South Bend leads the Dragons 6-1. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner.
Man, I see that full moon. I think of one thing, and it's not werewolves. Bring out the rod and reel.
I was about to say, it's got to be fishing.
Yeah, baby.
All right, you'd see an old boot, and that would make you think of fishing. You'd see a slab of roast beef, and that would make you think of fishing.
Well, that's true, too, but the full moon is definitely a good sign and a good time to go fishing. Speaking of fishing, good pitch down and in. And
Daniel Pelka trying to extend those arms. Midwest League leader in home runs with 17. Sac fly in the 5th drove in a run. You got to like the approach, though, that all the Dragon pitchers are taking with him. They've done a good job of keeping him fairly quiet.
They really have. Got that big wide open stance. I mean, that's just down and away and nasty. We're seeing some pretty good arms from these relief pitchers that have come in for the Dragons tonight. See, catcher sits down and away, boom, doesn't miss the target at all, right on it.
That's hammered into the gap. It'll stay in the park, but it'll find the warning track and the wall. Pelka will find second base unattended with a stand-up double. Leadoff man reaches again for South Bend. First team All-American in 2013. Pelka became the first Georgia Tech outfielder named first team All-American since 1994.
Boy, he got a pitch right over the middle of the plate and hammered it. Cruz is in the second base.
Been a good night for doubles for the Silverhawks. Gebhardt has a couple. Westbrook with a double. Joe Munoz looking for his first base hit. 0 for 3 with a walk. A lot of the crowd has given up on the Dragons tonight. Down 5, but still a lot of baseball fans here. Enjoying a cool summer evening.
If you're a fan, you have to stay here.
You know what you might see.
That's right.
Could be some Doug Flynn fans out there waiting after the game with baseball cards for you to sign.
Oh,
and folks, I have seen that with my own eyes.
We do have witnesses, don't we? There they are. There's both of them. Right, we're out of the seats. We got them.
Well, this place has been full for most of the evening. Really impressive. More than 1,000 consecutive sellouts. I mentioned earlier that streak remained intact when the economy was struggling 6 or 7 years ago, and there was one point where the Dragons lost 24 straight games and the fans kept coming.
Wow. That's when you really need them here.
My guess is that streak became the only point of pride they had at the time. Easy play. Runner moves up. Dahl takes care of matters. And there's one out, runner 90 feet away.
The golden rule of being on second base is that if the ball's hit at you or to your left, then you got a chance to go on to third base. That time it wasn't hit very hard. It was hit right at the base runner. He knew he had plenty of time to get to third base. Gets over to where now you got man in scoring position. A 6-1 game, and if I'm correct, that's just one out. They got the infield back. I guess going ahead and concede another run for an out.
Well, interestingly, Dahl is almost right up the middle, as you can see. Defensive placement by Dayton. Outfield pulled well over for striker Trahan. Out of Scott, Louisiana. Led off the 6th with a walk. Came around to score the first of 4 in that big inning for South Bend. Infielders are going to talk about this one. Dahl says he'll take it, and he does. 2 out.
Well, you're talking about somebody who just missed him. Got him a good pitch and popped her straight up, but that was a good pitch to hit. Now Jamie Westbrook coming to the plate.
You mentioned Tom Nichols, the fine radio broadcaster for Dayton. He's assisted and partnered with Brendan Gulick. Hammered to right and over the head of Jonathan Reynoso. That's going to be another double and another run for South Bend.
Man, there's a lot of doubles being hit tonight.
So Pelka, who led off with a double, comes around to scoring a 2-out double by Westbrook, his second of the night.
This ball smoked right on the line and right at the outfielder, which makes it one of the tougher plays because he comes in, doesn't get a good break on it. Comes in first, and I think the toughest ball to handle for an outfielder or an infielder is that line drive that's right at you, where it's going to be over your head a little bit and you don't know which way to go.
Yep. Now Michael Perez talking to Brendan Gulick about the travel in this league. There are some pretty long bus rides, he was telling me. Some of the trips to western Iowa. Midwest League team in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Not a really easy trip. Not too bad.
7 base hits right now for South Bend, 6 of them for extra bases.
Yep.
5 doubles, a triple, and a single.
Also an error for Dayton.
Now this is definitely the bus league.
Amir Garrett walked 6. Ameska walked a couple. Rough night for that man.
Well, wondering where his offense went. Eric will have him out early again tomorrow, taking a little beefy.
Jose Nieves is seeing a lot of games like this one where it looks like you're headed for a pitcher's duel and suddenly everything just falls apart.
Boy, just one of the good young coaches in the game now.
Rip, but right at Piggott. And that'll do it for the Silverhawks, but they hang up another run and we'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Dragons need a touchdown. Down 7-1 on the minor league baseball game of the week. Back in Dayton, Ohio, where the Dragons are down to their last 3 outs. Dick Gabriel, Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner Been all Silverhawks since the 5th inning. And they lead it 7-1 here at Fifth Third Field. Trying to close things out tonight. Silverhawks looking for their 54th win of the year as Blaine Weller begins the ninth.
Begins it with a breaking ball. He's had pretty good heat, throwing 94 in the 8th inning. Not a whole lot of offense to show for the Dragons up to this point.
South Bend coming in 13-6 in the second half. Dayton 10-9 second half after going 46-41. Weller finds the inside edge on Ronald Bueno. Bueno 0 for 2 in the night. A comeback or a strikeout. I think I called him Ronaldo earlier, added a bonus vowel to his name. That was a 3-1 pitch, and Weller still challenges and won that particular battle. He's going to try to win the war right now.
Well, leadoff hitter, you get a little surprised he might be swinging, but got a good pitch to swing at.
Challenged again.
Heading back up to 94.
Bueno out of the Dominican Republic, 5'10", just 154. Got him.
Wow.
Impressive start of the 9th inning for the right-hander. Blaine Weller. He's been something special tonight. And joined this team, as Lauren Gardner mentioned earlier, after 2 seasons of independent league ball, non-drafted free agent last year.
By my count, that's 11 Ks he has tonight.
Yep. Top of the order now for the Dragons, John Matthews. Get a look at his numbers on the season. He's been a consistent offensive threat for the Dragons.
I tell you, they told us early this gun was pretty reliable, and the guys were, whatever they threw, that's pretty much what the velocity was for the game. And he has stayed right at 93 and 94 miles an hour, especially here late in the innings. There's 95.
Weller has walked 2 tonight. Gave up the unearned run.
Good look at the miles per hour on the board. And folks, that's after throwing 100 pitches.
Yeah.
So
1-2 pitch.
got him.
Froze him with a breaking ball. We haven't seen that for a while.
It almost sounded like it hit the bat, but
Perez came up with the ball.
freezes him. Yeah, that's sometimes the umpires could get caught up in the moment as well.
Now a quick mound visit for his catcher.
I believe I'd tell him to turn around and go right back. You can look on the board and see what's happening right here. It's not a mystery.
Carlton Dahl will try to extend this ball game for the Dragons down to their last out, down 6. 0 for 3 on the night. Fly ball his last time up.
Boy, just come up fastball 94 miles an hour up away out of the zone. Dahl free swinging right now.
And we mentioned earlier Dragons were swinging early in the count to try to jump on that fastball, but Weller's been too strong. Slider.
Oh, nasty. Had him buckled just a little bit too.
No balls, 2 strikes.
You see him buckle in the pitches right on the outside corner, no doubt. See if he's got a better one.
Comebacker. This will do it. No hitter for Blaine Weller. He fights his way into affiliated baseball after 2 years of independent ball, and he has thrown a no-hitter
That is
South Bend
remarkable.
Silverhawks. It is indeed, and here comes the ice bath. Everybody's going to get it. Everybody shares in the victory and in the joy for Blaine Weller.
Boy, I
And
tell
he
you
wins
what.
it 7-1. How about that?
From independent ball to come into Class A ball at this level and to be able to throw a no-hitter against a very good ball club, that's just remarkable. I mean, at any level, a no-hitter is very special. But you consider a kid who has just battled and has struggled a little bit this year with the 4-4 record, but now to come back and to throw a no-hitter and absolutely had total command of this game.
Absolutely. 2 walks,
11 Ks.
gave up the 1 run. It was unearned. And as you mentioned, Doug, just got stronger, it seemed, as the night went on. Lauren Gardner's going out to try to find a icy, soaked, happy Blaine Weller. We'll see if we can get a word with him before we go off the air. Hugs all around.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you purchase those tennis balls, it is time for instruction. Here's Luke.
That's going to do it from Dayton, Ohio. The final score after the no-hitter by that young man, 7-1. South Bend wins it. I guess we won't get a chance to chat with him as he is hugging everybody around him. For Doug Flynn, Lauren Gardner, our entire crew, I'm Dick Gabriel. Be sure to join us Thursday as the Omaha Storm Chasers host the New Orleans Zephyrs, 9 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. That's it. Good night from Dayton.